we would like to request everyone to settle down as we begin our program with the invocation to be followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich because of what the Lord has done for us. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich because of what the Lord has done for us. Give thanks. We give thanks. We give
Distinguished guests, representatives of government agencies, local government units, members of the academe, researchers, private sector companies, stakeholders, our friends from the media, and to our startups who are tuning in this afternoon. A pleasant afternoon to everyone. Maayong hapon or maayong palis to all our friends who are watching from Visayas and Mindanao. And welcome to the Science and Innovation Budding Opportunities for Leverage, or the SIBOL, your bi-monthly dose of webinar for new projects supported by the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development. For the ninth installment of the SIBOL webinar series, we will be featuring new projects that hopes to boost and empower our startup ecosystem. So, good afternoon. So this is Engineer Edward Polapigo, the Program Manager of the Startup Grant Fund Program of the DOST PCIEERD, and I will be your today's host. We would like to recognize you, so please type in the chat box your name and affiliation. So while you are typing, let me give you a quick background on why we are doing this or why we are here this afternoon. So this year, according to the Traxen, one of the world's largest platforms for tracking startups and private companies, Philippines is home to 2012 startups. Having been hit hard by the pandemic and lockdowns, Filipino startups have been working on adapting to the digital economy and are increasingly adopting disruptive technologies, not only to keep their businesses afloat, but also to thrive in today's marketplace. With that, our startups have been at the forefront in offering innovative technologies and digital services that we can take advantage of to become more productive and competitive in the new normal. As a testament to our startup's hard work and brilliance, the Philippine startup ecosystem was featured in the 2020 Global Startup Ecosystem Report from the Startup Genome. It is the world's most comprehensively and widely read research on startups with 250 ecosystems studied. In that report, Manila was considered as a top emerging ecosystem, and its notable strengths are its market reach or the early stage startup access to customers, allowing them to scale up and go global, as well as talent and experience or the access to talent by early stage startups. This placed Manila among the top 20 ecosystems for bang for buck and among the top 30 ecosystems for affordable talent. Overall, Manila was within the 31 to 40 rank of the top 100 emerging ecosystems. Come 2021, we remain in the top 100 emerging startup ecosystems, but just ranking lower compared to last year as the country placed within the 91 to 100 rank. This significant dip in our rank signifies that Filipino startups are in need of assistance to remain in business. As the Innovation Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technologies, DOST PCIEERD extends its helping hand through its Startup Grant Fund program, a program that supports startups in the creation or deployment of more post-COVID-19 products and services. Today, we'll be showcasing these new post-COVID-19 innovations that we deem will create waves of positive change towards a better normal. So now let's keep the ball rolling, sit tight, and let's learn how Filipino startups are planning to make significant changes for the country. Officially welcoming us is an outstanding engineer who led and worked on numerous game-changing programs and projects in the fields of land surveying, remote sensing and geographic information system, environmental monitoring, and disaster risk assessment and management. One of these is the disaster risk exposure assessment and mitigation light ranging and detection technology, or the DREAM LiDAR, which addressed and helped mitigate the effects of flooding disasters in the country by producing accurate national terrain elevation maps and highly trained LiDAR and flood mapping experts all over the country. These initiatives have been proven essential in the country's resource monitoring and management and in various government agencies' decision-making processes for policy formulation. Let's give a virtual round of applause to the Executive Director of the DOST PCIEERD, Dr. Enrico C. Paringit.
Fellow Filipino scientists, researchers, and innovators, officials from government agencies, representatives from the private sector, media practitioners, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to all our partners in ensuring that the Philippines has a thriving startup ecosystem. The Department of Science and Technology Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development would like to thank all of you for being with us here today to witness the launch of new projects developed and implemented by Filipino startups. Welcome to the 8th edition of the Science and Innovation Budding Opportunities for Leverage, or SIBOL, a webinar series where we put the spotlight on newly approved and commenced projects supported by DOST PCIEERD. This event is also part of our celebration of the Philippine Startup Week 2021 organized by the Department of Information and Communications Technology, the Department of Trade and Industry, DOST, and QBO Innovation Hub with the theme, Beyond Recovery, Filipino Startups Redefining Opportunity. We commend our brilliant and hardworking researcher entrepreneurs for coming up with 22 new technologies and services in the areas of supply chain management, learning and education, work from home productivity tools, content and talent development, and digitally empowered tools for the public service. We thank our startup founders for their agility in responding to the call of the times and coming up with bright ideas to move us forward in this pandemic. We also appreciate Mr. Carlo Calimon, the director of the Startup Village, for partnering with us in helping the startup ecosystem through a memorandum of understanding which will be signed later. DOST PHSW is grateful to all of you for heeding our call to spur more innovations that will be beneficial to Filipinos. We fully support these startups as powerful agents of change in our society. The COVID-19 pandemic has truly disrupted businesses' operations and has hurt the global economy. As many countries have started opening up, the Philippines is now slowly revitalizing its economy as it eases community lockdowns, increasing vaccinations, and continuously reminding the public to observe minimum health standards. Last year's economic deceleration shrunk our gross domestic product to a negative 9.5%, the worst economic performance since the country began releasing growth data just after the World War II in 1947. We are also reeling from the effects of disasters like the Taal volcano eruption in January last year and the devastating effects of the typhoons that visited the country. Our startups were no strangers to these economic conditions. In a survey conducted by PwC Philippines, a majority of the startups reduced their levels of operation, pivoted their services, and even deferred their expansion plans. Some were greatly affected that they had to temporarily cease operations, reduce their number of employees, and avail of loans and funds from external sources. The pandemic has also paved the entry of new players such as on-demand delivery service providers, market startups offering vegetables and meat, and startups that provide the needs of Filipinos during the health crisis. It is in this light that we launched the Startup Grant Fund program to respond to the demand for quick and rapid solutions to easily adapt into what we now call the new normal. Through this program, we will support startups with technology-based solutions that can potentially contribute to the economic rebirth of the country. We are looking at the opportunities to provide additional jobs, raise revenue, and attract local and foreign investment. This program intends to provide a fund mechanism that would support our startups and help them focus on providing solutions that are relevant to the needs of the country. We are optimistic that the activities under this fund grant will reinvigorate the economy during this post-COVID-19 situation. The program will aid our startups in overcoming R&D roadblocks by means of prototype improvement, conduct of feasibility studies, and development of product specifications. Through the programs, startups can also get support in validating user requirements, strengthen their intellectual property by means of protection and development of appropriate IP strategies. This year, we received a total of 54 proposals, which showed the ingenuity and resilience of Filipino startup founders. From these proposals, 22 startups passed through a very rigorous evaluation activity and qualified to receive funding and technical support through the Startup Grant Fund program. Technologies play a central role in our journey towards living in a better normal, and startups are big contributors to the Philippines innovations landscape. As a leader and a partner in enabling innovations, DOST PHSW will be relentless in fostering brilliant ideas of startups and cultivating these into helpful products and services that are ultimately beneficial to the Filipinos. Let me now invite you to a sneak peek of the future of the Philippines through the Filipino startups that we are supporting. Welcome to SIBOL. Let's make innovations work for the people. Salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome remarks and expression of commitment, Dr. Paringit, and thank you for for your support to the Startup Grant Fund program of the DOST PHSWE. Let's proceed to the main event. Let's welcome the first batch of project presentations whose projects and services aim to address concerns in the logistics and supply chain. To start off, we're calling on our first presenter, Ms. Cherry Morillon Cobaco, founder and chief executive officer of Kawel Data Analysis Services, or the Kawel AI. Ms. Cherry has 12 years of experience in marketing and sales for consumer industries, specializing in construction and real estate development, an experienced chief finance officer focusing on overseas partnerships with industry stakeholders in the ports and maritime space and AI technology, and recipient of several awards locally and internationally. Today, she will be presenting the project on the enhancement of the prototype and market validation of traceability access for consumer and export powered by artificial intelligence, or the Trace AI software system. Let's watch this video.
Hi, good day. I am Cherry Morillon, founder, chief executive officer, and lead innovator of Kawel AI Solutions, a multidisciplinary artificial intelligence solution that can be integrated into web and mobile application. I am here to present our DOST-funded project for the enhancement of the prototype and market validation of traceability access for consumer and export powered by artificial intelligence, or Trace AI software system. Kawel AI's mission is to help humanities understand artificial intelligence. Our vision is to provide AI solutions to preserve biodiversity, livelihood, and environment with reliable and unbiased data analytics on demand. The main problem that we are trying to solve is the illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing that happens in any part of the globe. Due to the lack of resources and knowledge for documentation, fishermen sell cheaply or resort to illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing for fast money. Also, fishermen are afraid to use technology because they believe they are not capable of understanding how to use it due to their lack of education. Our solution is Trace AI, an automated electronic catch documentation and traceability mobile application, which was pilot tested in Mamburao and Sablayan, Occidental Mindoro last 2019. How does our mobile application works? Trace AI on its beta version has leveraged AI and machine learning to reduce the friction in data gathering for fishermen and eliminate fraud. This mobile application works offline. The scan, snap, and send is the official method to record the catch data. This uses AI for fish identification, estimates the length and weight of the fish, auto-catch recording with geolocation and vessel information, which is then uploaded to the cloud via mobile data or Wi-Fi. Due to the pandemic, we accelerated the enhancement of Trace AI that will include additional seafood species for identification and traceability. It will also include seamless and interoperability system that can be available to government and private stakeholders via web application cloud system. Lastly is the marketplace and logistics integration to complete the catch-to-plate journey via the QR code labels. With our previous beta version, we found out what vital information was needed for fishermen to really attract them to use technology. This has been our basis to propose the enhancement of the system and make it end-to-end, creating a channel to interact with fishermen, buyers, sellers, and even government agencies to monitor the fish and seafood stocks. The Trace AI software system is in compliance with the International traceability of Europe and the US seafood traceability standard. We will be the first Filipino company to provide traceability and marketplace, completing the single origin catch-to-plate traceability. To ensure the success of the project, we look forward to a partnership with and accreditation with BIFAR for the traceability system, given the merit of the project, which also includes collaboration with the Department of Trade and Industry, Department of Agriculture for food security and supply chain management. Our team of Trace AI is composed of young blood in AI and machine learning. Most of them are S&T scholars who have excellent training in their chosen field of expertise, supported by the overall technical lead of Kawil AI to ensure success of the Trace AI project. We are Kawil AI, bringing AI technology from lab to life. Here is our digital directory. Contact us for more information and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cherry, for that very interesting presentation about Kawil AI. To our participants who are tuning this afternoon, please do type in the Q&A tab in the Excel events if you have any questions regarding our projects this afternoon. So we will be going over them. And after our first set of presentations, we'll try to ask these questions to our project leaders. So moving forward, our next project will be presented by Mr. Jeff Clarence Turla, co-founder and chief technology officer of Borket.ph Incorporated. Let's learn about their latest project with the DOST titled Improvement and Assessment of Marketability of an AI-powered buyer-supplier matching and management system for businesses in the Philippines. Let's watch this video.
Businesses rely on wholesalers, distributors, and manufacturers to source the goods they sell, especially small and micro enterprises or SMEs. This exchange of goods or services between two businesses is a business-to-business transaction or B2B. B2B accounts for 83% of e-commerce sales globally. The internet has become a helpful tool to search for suppliers, but not every supplier has presence on the web. With 94% of B2B buyers do some form of online research on the internet, it is important for suppliers to become discoverable online. For larger enterprises, inaccurate supplier onboarding data and incomplete risk assessments could be costly, and onboarding new suppliers could take weeks. With the COVID-19 pandemic, it has become necessary for businesses to be connected online and be able to facilitate digital transactions. While the bulk of transactions in the Philippines come from B2C, there is growth in the B2B segment. B2B is a business market. B2B is Borket. Borket is a platform where you can connect with, buy from, and sell to businesses. Borket is where your business can become discoverable, improve your credibility, and see the demand for your products or services. Borket is where vendor data could be managed and have an end-to-end system that reduces onboarding and purchasing times from weeks to just hours. Borket is where trade is made convenient. This project aims to be able to help businesses in the Philippines automatically find suppliers that are matched based on their buying needs. This will be powered by artificial intelligence or AI, using Borket's comprehensive database of suppliers and to develop an algorithm that is suitable for the business environment in our country. This project has three specific objectives. First is to improve Borket's comprehensive database of local suppliers in the Philippines using publicly available data and through partnerships with government agencies and other sectors. Second is to develop an AI-powered buyer-supplier matching system that will be integrated with Borket's vendor management solution, or VMS. And lastly, to test the marketability of our VMS with an AI matching system. As a result of this project, Borket aims to help the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, to map out the suppliers in the country, provide a platform for businesses to easily search for local suppliers and partner with them, promote MSMEs in the country by giving them online visibility, boost B2B networks and transactions in the Philippines, reduce friction in B2B transactions by helping enterprises connect with the right partners, digitize the procurement process for businesses of any size or industry, be able to create a supplier assessment tool that can be used by both the public and private sector for procurement, and provide data for further research in the future. Burket promotes the spirit of entrepreneurship among Filipinos by providing them with a platform to jumpstart a business. This project will help entrepreneurs to connect and partner with buyers and sellers in the Philippines. This project supports the government push for e-commerce guided by DTI's e-commerce 2022 roadmap that aims to improve MSME business operations, engage in e-commerce initiatives by partnering with reliable platform providers, logistics services, and payment gateways, embrace a culture of innovation to ensure continuous improvement and development. This project aims to contribute to the following major goals of the roadmap: increase contribution of e-commerce to economic growth, more digitally skilled workers, increase number of e-commerce entrepreneurs, and to empower online consumers. MSMEs make up the bulk of businesses here in the Philippines, and this project aims to help them with their presence online, be able to find and connect with suppliers easier, and provide them with an accessible tool to make smarter decisions when choosing a supplier for their business needs. The data collected from this project will be presented to relevant government agencies to partnerships that can help provide frameworks for policies in areas of B2B trade, entrepreneurship, and e-procurement. Once again, we are Burket. Join us as we make trade more convenient.
Maraming salamat, Sir Jeff, for that presentation about Burket PH. Up next is a project led by Mr. R.V. Miguel from Insights Corporation, a career-oriented individual who has 20 years of experience working for public and private organizations on environmental management, disaster risk reduction, health, and program management. His current passion in entrepreneurship and assisting budding entrepreneurs as they foray into business pursuits and in financial technologies propelled by its potential to uplift the socio-economic well-being of the country, especially the MSMEs. Today, Migs will be presenting to us his project that aims to enhance the MSME supply chain experience by integrating cold chain solutions in Delivery 2.0. Let's watch this video.
For centuries, agriculture in the Philippines has been plagued with persistent challenges. Deep-rooted problems have hindered the country from achieving food security and farmers from earning an income that's sufficient for their households. What then is the most pressing problem of our agricultural system? It is its highly fragmented nature. And this problem manifests itself threefolds. Farmers are disadvantaged in their own livelihoods. Post-harvest losses are high and are worsened because of multiple layers of middlemen, and consumers end up with high retail commodities despite no additional value to their farm fresh produce. These have been long-standing crises driving our farmers to be resigned to their fates. But the clamor for a disruptive change continues. Inside SES, a tech logistics company stepped up to fill the gaps of the supply chain management processes of our agricultural industry. Its goal is to improve the efficiency of the overall processes of the livelihoods of our Filipino farmers through tech. With a strong background in FMCG and with almost a century of combined professional experience, the team brought together a solution that will benefit the disconnected agricultural supply chain of the country and ultimately bring most value to the sector positioned at the bottom of the pyramid, our farmers and fisherfolk. With support from USAID Project Deliver, the digital agricultural platform of Delivery was born. As active partners of USAID, it gave us the drive and opportunity to pursue bigger development goals. First is to connect our target beneficiaries to bigger key markets. Second is to improve the key processes of Filipino farmers. And third is by increasing and sustaining the earnings of our farmers. For the third quarter of the year, the delivery platform has generated a sales value of $320,660, or an equivalent of 16 million pesos. That's a quarterly volume of 130.13 metric tons, With over 8,600 orders fulfilled, we were able to serve 1,634 clients in Metro Manila and 115 clients outside the metropolis. As the platform continues to successfully improve the linkages between buyers and sellers through our marketplace, what remains now is increasing the income of Filipino farmers. To do this, we have to significantly cut down post-harvest losses, which eat up the profit margins of farmers. So how can this be solved? This is the point where our Shared Grant comes in. Its main and intended objectives come down to three. One is to create an active directory of post-harvest facilities in the country, specifically cold storage warehouses that are designed to extend the shelf life of perishable goods. Second is to integrate a prescriptive function in the delivery platform which will recommend the closest and most suitable CSW facility that will coincide with the storage requirements of our agri-stakeholders. Third, facilitate transactions between registered users within the platform and the various CSW operators. This new and added functionality in the delivery platform would bring both farmers and fisherfolk the opportunity to extend the shelf life of their goods, effectively reduce post-harvest losses, and regain potential income from the products that have been saved in the process. Consider this, Jose. A farmer in Nueva Vizcaya just harvested 1 ton of cabbages, and at the end of a trading day, half a ton remain unsold. He's then left with two choices: sell the cabbages at a loss to another trader whose asking price is too low, or throw away the unsold goods altogether. Given this scenario, farmers are usually left at disadvantaged positions because of their lack of options. By giving them an increased access to cold storage warehouse facilities, they can delay the sale of their products at a later time when both the demand and prices for it have increased, and at such juncture they can sell their produce at higher margins. And with this, the government can then derive insights from the deployed CFSW directory and dashboard. This can help in virtually identifying some supply gaps for cold chain services on a regional basis, and turning the insights therefrom into an investment prospectus which can help shore up funds from external investors to address related infrastructure considerations. All of which would boil down to having a food-secure Philippines where our farmers and fisherfolk can thrive in their own livelihoods.
Thank you very much, Sir RV, and to Insights for that very amazing video. So next we'll learn about the project titled Prototype Enhancement for Digitizing Traditional Market Centers or Bagsakans and Market Validation for a Network Agricultural Clearinghouse, which will be presented by Mr. Ray Kenneth Molina, the Chief Technology Officer of the Agro-Digital PH. Ken has over a decade of experience in an end-to-end software development, wherein he gained expertise in financial enterprise solutions, ad management system, and integrated and multi-platform integration strategies. Let's learn about their project through this video.
Agro-Digital PH is in the business of raising farmers' incomes through end-to-end sustainable value chain solutions. For the past 18 months, we have been working with organized smallholder farmers and fishers in enabling them with the digital tool sets to do business independently and engage other food system stakeholders in equal footing. The Philippines has around 9 million farmers and fishers, down from 10.5 million 3 years ago. We are steadily losing our farmers. These are the people who till the land and produce the food we eat. Most of our farmers are smallholders, tilling 2 hectares or less, and live below the government income threshold for poverty that's pegged at 10,000 pesos a month. The irony of it all is that the food system that feeds us and this country keeps our farmers poor. The people who are tasked to feed this nation are the ones going hungry. So it all boils down to changing the game. Incremental changes to the current food system aren't going to cut it. Agro-Digital PH strongly believes communities, organized as cooperatives or associations, are key to setting up food producers for success. Designing community-based integrated solutions that supports the digital food value chain equalizes the playing field, allowing smallholders to earn a decent living. The digitized value chain seeks to unify the players in a largely fragmented system, and the traditional market center or bagsakan figures prominently in monetizing farmer and fisher produce. For this phase of platform development, we enhance our existing platform to facilitate digital adoption and network bagsakans into a unified clearinghouse. Consequent market acceptance of this clearinghouse has potential effects on produce sourcing and fulfillment. We decided to look under the hood and see where AgroDigital PH can realize the most value, and that is equipping organized smallholders the digital solutions to take control of their enterprise. Most of our competitors are focused on the final mile, while AgroDigital looks at the food system in its entirety. Inasmuch as digital marketplaces shorten the value chain to an extent, there are challenges that cannot be solved from this angle, and we deliberately choose areas other than marketplaces as our playground. We are farmers ourselves and have designed and developed the platform based on the needs of organized smallholder farmers and fishers. We are a service utility designed for others to use, and that perhaps differentiates us from the rest. AgroDigital PH offers bagsakans with a smallholder-centric digital solutions to enable a digital presence and capture demand, synchronize production activities, and assure produce forecasts, and efficiently store, trace, and deliver goods to institutional buyers and retail clients. Democratizing access to information neutralizes the advantage of intermediaries in accessing opportunities. As new opportunities arise, smallholders can tap on these new markets and scale accordingly. Finally, exploring a unified bagsakan where orders can be received from a central desk and fulfilled at the nearest bagsakan has a huge effect on produce availability, food miles, and consequently cost. At the end of 12 months, we should have brokered and implemented the enhanced digital platform across 5 bagsakans and encouraged at least 10 supplier groups to connect and interface with our platform. In summary, digitizing bagsakans is the shot in the arm we need to continue the digitization journey and influence smallholders to consider this alternate way of doing business. As we continue to digitize and make information available for everyone, we can enforce a regime of stable prices, ensuring parity in the digital food value chain. We are AgroDigital PH, and we continue our journey to harness the power of digital for the new Filipino farmer.
Thank you very much, AgroDigital PH, for that very worthy and noble cause of digitizing bagsakans. So far, we have heard 4 startups presenting their projects. But before we proceed to our second set of presentations, you would like to know if you are still with us. So how about an icebreaker? If you're with us, can you type ready in our chat tab? So are you guys ready to join our icebreaker? All right, so I'm seeing people typing their ready. All right, so here's the mechanics. For this icebreaker, we will show 1 or more emojis, and you will need to guess what it refers to. Our category for this round is countries. So are you familiar with this game? So if you're not, it's okay, because we will have 1 sample item. So just to show you an example, yeah, so shown on the screen is an example of an emojis. So you just have to guess what country is this. So the correct answer for this example is Iran. Very simple and very easy, right? So now you have 3 chances to win PCIEERD merchandise. So the first one to guess the words will receive the prize. All right, so let's get into the first item. This looks very easy and simple. All right, so I'm seeing correct answers on the chat. So the correct answer is Taiwan. Now let's move on to our second item. Again, our category is countries. So I think I already saw someone guessing the correct answer. So the correct answer is Bahrain. Now let's move on to our third and last item. I think you guys are familiar with this, but this looks kind of difficult. So I'm seeing a couple of people guessing the correct answer. All right, so the correct answer for this one is, of course, the Philippines. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining that quick icebreaker. So if you enjoyed that game, don't worry for those who are not able to guess correctly, because we'll have another round later in the program. So stay tuned. So, okay, so let's proceed to the next presenter. So I'd just like to request you to kindly settle down as we are now continuing the first set of presentations. Starting this set is the co-founder of Platform Technologies Incorporated, Mark Neil Clydeco, a full-time entrepreneur who has over 10 years of experience in corporate, particularly in QA, QC, software engineering, and manufacturing. He also founded two other startups, the iHub, a nonprofit organization that provides training on graphic design, and the Green Table, which is an agri-e-commerce social enterprise. This afternoon, Mr. Neil will share with us his project on the improvement and digitalization of agri-e-commerce farm-to-table infrastructure. To learn more about their project, let's watch this video.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Neil Clydeco. I'll be your presenter for today. Together with me, our project leader, Wada Mariko. Today, we'll be presenting our project entitled Improvement and Digitalization of Agri-E-Commerce Farm-to-Table Infrastructure, with our company name, Platform Technologies Incorporated. Our rationale: agriculture sectors employs about 30% of the population, but only contributes only 12% of the GDP. For smallholder farmers, farming becomes more of a gamble due to the lack of data and direct link to the demand. Problem being solved: mismatched supply and demand. Example, due to oversupply of crops, farmers ends up selling at a very low price or even through the produce. Poor agri-supply chain and inefficient farming practices, our farmers cannot supply the demand and could not meet the standards, both local and global. Due to this unsustainable livelihood, leads to a decline of farmers and farmlands, leads to a food insecurity for our country. Our potential users. All over the Philippines, around 2.9 million farmers, smallholder farmers. Specifically here in Central Visayas, around 430,000 farmers in Bohol, Cebu, Negros, and Siquijor. In our project, specifically here in Cebu, we are targeting around 149,000 farmers. With this project, we partnered 3 major cooperatives that has around 5,000 farmer members. Our project significance: having the right data and tools designed to bridge the gap between market and demand will be beneficial for our farmers to supply assured crops with quality, thus providing sustainable livelihood for the community. Right here in the picture, our farmer partner and founder, Mr. Troy Bumagat, was able to prove that if you have the right tools and data, you can supply both local and global, thus creating an enterprise, providing stable jobs to his community and also food for his community. Project description. The project will provide end-to-end farm-to-table infrastructure that will connect, collect, analyze to enable market and supply matching using agri-e-commerce platform. Unfortunately, here in the Philippines, our data is not established. Without this infrastructure, we're not able to collect the data both from the consumer and the farmers. Thus, our company is aiming to provide this. Farm-to-table agri-e-commerce model. Average groceries has this process from the farm to the middleman to the warehouse, direct to the distribution centers, and then to the grocery stores to home. And this model is a broken model because the farmers don't know what is the demand. And also, it has so many unfair trade practices, leaving the farmers gain less profit while the third party or the middleman gets the more profit, and also providing expensive produce to the community. With the grain table and our infrastructure, we will provide good trade practices because we direct the supply from the farm to the warehouse to the home. So it cuts all middlemen. With this program, and it is also data-driven and market-driven. Now the farmers can now get the demand and plant what are the clients are needing. Our potential impact, efficiency. Since our farmers has the right data and the right demand, our farmers can earn more, and they are more now enterprising. Their farmlands will be filled with crops that is already been guaranteed by our customers and clients. With these efficient farm practices, this agriculture sector will increase the GDP contribution. With this also, with a steady demand and supply for our farmers, we can now supply both locally and globally, following the set of standards. With this result, our country will be secure for food, ready, accessible, farm produce direct from our farmers. If you want to get in touch with us, you can contact our phone number, our email addresses, and you can get there our address. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Sir Neil. It's nice to see startups coming from the Visayas and Mindanao also getting support from the DOST PHSW21. Again, to our virtual audience, if you have questions, please type this in the Q&A box in the Excel events, and we will try to answer this for you. So we'll have a Q&A segment later. Now, moving on, we'll learn about Easy Export, which is an AI-powered export incubation platform for Filipino MSMEs. This project will be presented by the co-founder of Easy Fulfill Incorporated, Mr. Gian Carlo Marucot. Mr. Marucot is also serving as adjunct faculty at Indiran Colleges, teaching operations management and supply chain management, and at the Singapore School, Manila, teaching business studies. Let us learn about Mr. Marucot and Easy Fulfill's newest project through this video.
Are you ready to grow and expand your business into new markets? Global e-commerce sales are estimated to be at $29 trillion, and that number continues to skyrocket every year. Don't you want to be part of that growth? Many business owners make the mistake of thinking it's too difficult to open marketplaces in other countries. Think again. With Easy Fulfill's global e-commerce management system, you can easily tap into all of these global marketplaces. The best part? You can do it with one simple-to-use cloud-based platform. The system gets you access to premium listings in the top e-commerce sites around the world. Our AI-driven platform is user-friendly, affordable, and easy to implement. So whether you want to reach new customers in the US, Germany, Japan, China, or anywhere else in the world, let Easy Fulfill help you connect with new customers and grow your business beyond borders.
We are Easy Fulfill. Our project is entitled Export Incubation and Predictive Intelligence for Exporters. We aim to improve the capabilities of our Easy Export, our own web tool, an AI-powered export incubation platform for Filipino MSMEs. We have 4 expected output for this project, generously funded by DOST PHSW21. First, a diagnostic and intervention kit for Filipino MSMEs. Second, an expanded logistic network. Third, an enhanced market research capability. And fourth, onboard 20 MSMEs for pilot testing. The Export Readiness Assessment Tool. Following the model of international best practices, the Export Readiness Assessment Tool questionnaire can give an assessment about the readiness of an SME to face the opportunities and challenges of export. Immediate feedback is obtained on the strengths of the company, as well as any weak points that need to be improved. This is immediately followed by a tailor-fitted assistance from partner agencies, experts, and third-party partners, all working for the SME's export readiness. Expand logistics network. We want to enable SMEs to enter new markets, specifically Singapore, Australia, and Canada, while enjoying the benefits of seamless, cost-effective international shipping. Enhanced market research capability. We will feed data into the existing market research feature of Easy Export to increase its capability to educate MSMEs with product packaging recommendations and supply and demand analytics. They will not come in blindly into any market that we will open for them. To enable our SMEs, 6 new features will be developed: a sales and revenue estimator, product research based on raw materials, product description recommendation, packaging geographic dominance, logistics cost estimator, logistics integration. These features will make our capabilities ahead of any of our closest competitors, here and in Southeast Asia. Onboard 20 SMEs for pilot testing. These 20 SMEs will come from the provinces of Legazpi and Cagayan de Oro, with help of LGUs and regional business chambers like AutoBest Innovation. The success of this project will open the way to our vision of scale, activating access to 65 global marketplaces and 190 countries.
All right, thank you very much, Sir Gian, and to Easy Fulfill for that very interesting presentation. The next project will be discussed by Ms. Rachel Uy from Airship Logistics Solutions. Rachel is a competent, results-oriented, and ambitious entrepreneur with extensive experience with building automation systems and online businesses. She graduated management with honors in Ateneo, then pursued an IT career in web development after college, giving her an edge in the tech startup scene. She has built several online businesses in the IT and e-commerce industries for more than 10 years. Rachel Uy now leads the project enhancement and market validation of Airship Logistics, a logistics management suite to help optimize the end-to-end delivery operations of e-commerce logistics. Let's learn about Airship through this video.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm the project leader for this project entitled Enhancement and Market Validation of Airship Logistics. To clarify, we already have a working system and we are just looking to enhance it. So what is Airship? Airship is the Shopify for couriers. We made something complicated like a logistics software into something that's easy to use, just like what Shopify did for the e-commerce industry. We entered this market back in 2019 because we saw the gap between the e-commerce market and the quality of our logistics services here. And true enough, during the pandemic, it has grown even further as the e-commerce industry continues to grow at an annual rate of 7.9%. We see that the parcel and last mile delivery industry will continue to grow even more, estimated at 4.9% and 8.9% respectively. So we want to support that growth by providing couriers with everything they need to manage their delivery business. So let's take a look at this package journey. If someone wants to send the package, they need to schedule a pickup, get a rider assigned, the courier charges for their service and proceeds to transferring it to the hub and then sort it, delivers it, and collects cash. So Airship is engineered to match this whole process through our booking site, the Riders app, and the back office, all streamlined into an integrated, efficient system. So our core package includes 3 platforms, and that's the Riders app, the booking site, and the back office. So this is everything a courier needs to start running the business. So far, we've had success with our current system in terms of product market fit. We've gained traction with big brands, and about more than 10 companies are using Airship. As of the moment, we are processing around 50,000 packages a month. But we have limitations with our current system. Our system was originally designed for single hub couriers, but as couriers continue to grow, they naturally want to expand and cater to more regions and pass packages from hub to hub, similar to LBC and JNT's model. Second, Airship is still dependent on the knowledge of the dispatchers and riders when it comes to maps. This easily results to human error and increased delivery times due to the mistakes. So, to illustrate further, our current system looks like this. All packages, regardless of the origin or destination, is mixed into a single pool where everyone can see everything. After the enhancement, the system should be able to house the packages and users into their own hubs, where someone from Pampanga should not be able to see a package from Laguna, for example. Right now, our multiple hub couriers are experiencing missorting and the packages, which increase the length of their delivery times by 1 to 2 days, sometimes even losing the packages. In addition, we're also looking to improve our routing system where the system can instantly sort the addresses from nearest to farthest without having to rely on the rider's expertise and reducing the preparation time of the riders. Right now, it takes the riders about an hour every day to prepare and sort their routes manually. On top of that, the courier owners are heavily reliant on the limited pool of experienced riders, which results to the tasks being heavily skewed to the experienced ones. That means experienced riders earn more and new riders get hired less. So in this one-year project, we're looking to do an exhaustive R&D and end up with a working POC. By the last quarter, we're looking to test it out with some of our clients. So what's the potential impact of this? By completing this enhancement, we aim to reduce rider discrimination, where new riders will have an equal chance of getting hired as experienced riders because courier owners won't need to rely on their experience anymore to be more productive. Second, we aim to reduce burnout and employee turnover by automating some of the most important parts of the system like sorting. For example, with one of our clients, we saw a decrease from a 12-hour workday to an 8-hour workday, and we are looking to achieve the same significant savings with time and effort on a larger multi-hub scale. Third, we aim to improve the integrity of the local couriers by providing everyone with more transparency in terms of their package and cash movements. Overall, we want to elevate the industry standards of the logistics industry. If you go to first world countries, for example, like US and China, almost all of their couriers, big or small, have a system set up and have a detailed track and trace at the very least. Their target delivery dates are usually on point, and we hope to achieve the same for the industry standards of our country. So that's all for this project. Again, this is Rachel Uy for the enhancement and market validation of Airship Logistics.
Thank you very much, Rachel, for the very interesting presentation about Airship. The last project before the open forum is the OMG, or the Oh My Genie, an AI-enabled automated last mile fulfillment system for brands and suppliers. And here to talk about the OMG platform is Mr. Carl Frederick Kessner IV, the CEO and co-founder of Oh My Genie. He is a graduate of Information Technology from the Cebu Institute of Technology University, where he was a DOST scholar and a full academic scholar. He also completed the Artificial Intelligence Advanced track at Stanford University. He worked as a CIO of retail for more than 10 years and has implemented several supply chain technologies. He is also the first Filipino to enter the edge of the space. Wow. Mr. Kessler will be presenting to us his latest project, Enhancement and Market Validation of OMG, Oh My Genie, an AI-enabled automated last mile fulfillment system for brands and suppliers. Let's watch this video.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to present our project, Enhancement and Market Validation of OMG, Oh My Genie, an AI-enabled automated last-mile fulfillment system for brands and suppliers. Hi, I'm Carl Kessner, co-founder of OMG, Oh My Genie. The development of intelligent systems and the adoption of innovative technologies are vital to creating stronger and smarter supply chains and more efficient logistics management. In this context, this project proposes the enhancement of the current Oh My Genie system to employ artificial intelligence, automation technologies, and data analytics to address the complex challenges of fulfillment, inventory distortion, and the ever-changing requirements of buying customers. The technologies developed in this project will support OMG's last-mile fulfillment distribution model. Our model proposes to decentralize fulfillment and fulfill closest to the customers so that a majority of the logistics and fulfillment processes could be bypassed. We intend to enable hyper-local fulfillment for businesses nationwide. With the development of the proposed technologies, we expect simplified fulfillment by up to 65%, drastically faster delivery timeframes, from days to weeks to mere minutes, increased online conversions, and increased revenues as a result of proper inventory allocation, and improved customer satisfaction. The wider adoption of our technology will enable more trade and increase economic activity, facilitate faster recovery from pandemic effects, and accelerate the adoption of online retail services. Activities will revolve around the enhancement of the current technology stack and the development and integration of new technologies, including AI, automation, and data analytics. Secondly, testing, validation, and feedback from existing and new partners from various sectors. Our technology is more relevant than ever. The pandemic has severely affected the economy, especially traditional retailers and brick-and-mortar stores. Low foot traffic in malls means significantly low earnings and underutilized store spaces and inventories. This has led them to activate more sales channels online. However, new fulfillment challenges arise from increased online activity. The pandemic has led to big shifts in the country, and e-commerce has seen a growth of 55% in 2020, plus 15 million more people are shopping online. But shipment remains a challenge in the country, none more apparent than in the Visayas and Mindanao regions. Unfortunately, these underserved regions receive online orders 3 to 5 business days if lucky, or even up to 14 days or more. In contrast, NCR customers can receive orders within 1 to 3 days. This is the result of the current centralized fulfillment model. Our technology will make it possible for businesses to get their products to their customers ultra fast, same day, even as fast as 30 minutes. That's a big deal. And through AI and data analytics, we will enable businesses to intelligently position their inventories across the regions where there is most demand. Our platform will undoubtedly make a significant impact by reshaping supply chains and logistics management. Companies can now increase transaction speeds and cut costs across transportation, logistics, and warehousing. In addition, it will enable online retailers to automate tasks with much more accuracy and efficiency. Ultimately, the success of our model will produce a stronger and more resilient supply chain for our country. And advances in AI technologies will also ensure our competitiveness in the Asian region. With the support and guidance of the government, we will have the necessary resources to accelerate work on our vision, help businesses stimulate the economy, and create more jobs and build smarter supply chains. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carl, for your presentation about OMG. And that ends our first batch of startup project leaders. Now I'd like to invite our first batch of presenters or founders to join us in the virtual floor for the question and answer segment. So I'd like to call once again Ms. Cherry Morillon, Sir Jeff Turla, Mr. RV Miguel, Mr. Ray Molina, and Mr. Carl Fresner. And also on behalf of Easy Profile, we have the founder and CEO, Mr. Neptune Factor, and to represent Ms. Rachel Uy of Airship Logistics is we have Ms. Aija Gazote, Business Development Manager of Airship Logistics. Hello, guys. Good afternoon.
Hi, Edward. Good afternoon.
Hi,
Yeah, it's
good
nice.
afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
It's nice to see you again on a more lighter note. I think the last time we saw each other was while you were defending your proposal to our technical panel. So it's very away from that serious type of questions, no? Because you already had a lot of that during those times when you were, also joining us is Sir Neil. Hi, Sir Neil. Maayong hapon.
Hello guys, good afternoon.
Yeah, so we have a very diverse group here. I think we're all over.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's nice
We're
to
all
see
over
you
Luzon.
more lighter note.
Siguro yung sa Axel events, you can switch that off muna para hindi siya mag-echo, no? So as I mentioned earlier, we'll veer away from the usual serious questions kasi you already had that when you were presenting and you were defending your proposal. But siguro from my end, I think we didn't have the chance to ask this during that time. But siguro I'll just ask the four of you one common question, and the other for one common question. So siguro my first question siguro is, how was your experience applying for the DOST funding? Was it hard? Was it challenging? Was it easy for you? The reason why I asked, because there are a lot of startups here who are watching us this afternoon, and it would also be nice and good to hear from you straight from those who have experience applying for the grant, if how was their experience. So siguro I'll start with Cherry because she was the one to present. So Ma'am Cherry, maybe can you share briefly about your experience applying for the DOST
Hi,
funding?
Edward. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes. Experience sleepless nights kasi submitting the proposal and waiting for the first screening was really heart-pounding and very exciting, actually. Exciting in a way that did I presented it right? Something like that. So, best describes is sleepless nights. Siguro mga 2 weeks akong hindi nakakatulog. Yeah. Anyway, it was all worth it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Cherry. How about you, Sir Neil? How was the experience?
Hello, good afternoon. Actually, I'm so grateful and thankful for the group. I want to this time lang siguro because the team really from the UST help us really make the business or the project become more solid, and with the engineers that you provide, the researchers that you provide, parang I see hope in our country that this kind of agency can really provide more research. And for us, like we're also doing some businesses on the side, but with Engineer Al and the team is really providing us like 8 p.m., 10 p.m. updates. So for me, I would say I would like to share this to the startups that this is the kind of project that they want to join because it has all the full support. So don't be afraid about all the requirements because it will just help you build your startup become more better. So, but the tireless times and the discipline, it's really all worth it. Also, I have some like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So all is worth it.
Thank you, Sir Neil, for those kind words. No, for those kind words. I think from this group, I think we have also from the latest batch or the cycle two. I think you have your fondest memory. And Sir Neptune, maybe you can also share something about your experience. How was it? And maybe some advice to startups who are wanting also to apply in our upcoming cycles.
Thanks, Edward, and good afternoon to all. Unlike Cherry na 2 weeks siyang hindi makatulog kami, actually for me, months na hindi makatulog kasi we made a fatal mistake on our first application. We should have been part of the first batch, but we made a fatal mistake, and I was asking the OST if we can make an appeal, and Miss Russell told me that there's a second batch. So we applied again. Good thing that also it gave us time to really made some changes, make improvements on our proposal. So in terms of the experience, we really enjoyed it, especially working with Engineer Nico, our project coordinator, and also to you, Engineer Edward, for giving us some insights, some tips. In terms of my tips, one of my tips, I think pinaka-importante, one of the most important thing when applying for DOST Startup Grant is that this is a research grant. So I think they should highlight that. I think that's one of the mistakes of other startups when applying for this grant, that this should be a research grant and should differentiate from your operation side of things, operation side of technology. So really focused on what's your plan for the future, for the improvement and for scaling up. So I think for us, that's what we really focused on, because we also already have a platform, but it needs improvement. So that's what we focused on. So that's my advice to future applicants, to really focus on the projects, on the enhancement, improvements, and the future technology of your platform.
Thank you, Sir Neptune. So Sir Neptune is a proof that we should not be discouraged if we are disapproved on the first try. So as mentioned by Sir Neptune, it was actually their second time, because the first time they had a mistake. So, but thank you, Sir Neptune, no, for continue for that passion to continue, even if you had that disapproval during your first try. And we're so happy that you're able to finally get your funding on your second try. So ano lang, go lang and push through lang, no? So thank you, Sir Neptune, and for that advice to our startups who are planning to apply. How about you, Sir Carl? You're also one of the latest batch, so I think you had your fresh memories from your experience.
Hi, Edward. Yeah, so I think my heart rate is already so high all the time. Also waiting for the result. It's so thrilling. It's like a contest, but lasts so long. Yeah, but I'd like to say, Sir Christian and Sir Edward were so helpful, very responsive. Yeah, there's a lot of requirements. We have to get it right. We don't get it right the first time, but they give us a chance to further explain our projects so that the panel can understand it more or can see the significant effects of our projects. Yeah, so I'm so glad that we're finally here. Maybe I could sleep now. But yeah, for the past few months, it's really so thrilling.
Yeah, so the startup grant is not for those who are early sleepers pala, no? Kasi looks like the common theme is you guys were not able to sleep during the process. But I guess it's all worth it. So siguro my next question na lang, I won't ask the same question to the other four, but siguro my next question lang. This program is actually our second the second time that we opened this. We opened this before in 2018 during the time that there was no Innovative Startup Act yet, but that was an experimental funding. But this time we're more confident that we'll be able to provide funding to startups because of the Innovative Startup Act. So my question to the other four, how will this funding opportunity help you as a startup? So, parang sorry for this Miss Universe types of question, no? But sige, we'll begin with ladies first daw eh. So I'll just ask Aija. I think you're an all-girl, all-female group, but siguro in your perspective, how will this funding opportunity help Airship as a startup company?
Hi, Engineer Edward. It's nice seeing you again. Good afternoon to everyone. Actually, we're very grateful of the DOST and the Startup Grant Program because this will really help expedite our future plans for Airship. So, mas solidify na yung plans namin for next year to actually expand, to open allow multiple branches for local SME logistics companies. And mas makakapag-allot din kami ng more time and energy, of course, and resources for research since our program is really research-packed. So we're exploring opportunities to look for best algorithms to further improve our platforms kasi we've been also operating within for 2 years already. So yeah, so we're really grateful of this opportunity granted to us, and ayun, good luck to everyone for next year.
How about you, Sir Jeff? And Sir Jeff, yes. How about you? How will this funding help Burkett PH?
Yeah, thank you, Sir Edward. For us, we're very grateful to the DOST for the funding, and the funding would enable us to fast track the development of our AI. Kasi we plan on developing AI sa end part na ng roadmap namin. But through this funding, we will be able to develop it more easily. And also, we'll be able to
Wala ba siya na? Okay.
I know.
I thought we lost you. Okay, go lang. Go lang.
Hopefully, we'll be able to bring impact to the community from this grant.
Thank you, Sir Jeff. How about you, Sir RV? By the way, I really love your video, no? The insights. Para ako nanonood ng movie. So, to start no pressure on the other startups, but hopefully, Sir RV, any thoughts on that question?
Actually, thanks for the compliment. Ipapasa ko siya sa aking colleague because she was the one who actually did the magic and so far as the video. I just provided the script for it. Anyway, given yung question mo kanina, we saw this opportunity from the grant to actually help us develop our product, our platform, in accordance to the roadmap that we have in mind for the next couple of years. And as we are implementing our original USAID fund grant, we saw the opportunity that there are demands from our existing clients which could not be addressed by our ongoing grant. That's why we went for the PCIEERD grant, and particularly insofar as yung cold chain services, kasi from the agricultural industry perspective, cold chain would help address yung post-harvest losses nila. And we were able to successfully link the suppliers vis-a-vis the buyers. Pero that's one way to increase their income. But still, yung nasasayang doon sa natatapon na produce nila, that is still something that if that could be addressed, instead na matapon, it goes back into their income potential. So that's what we're trying to address with this one. And eventually, as we are now addressing and paving for contracts supplying big institutional buyers, ang sumusunod naman na nakikita namin is these particular SMEs, even for the cooperatives, yung kanilang concern is more on the financing aspect. So as we finish up with this grant, we will be eventually foraying into providing supply chain finance. Kasi we got this realization that when we talk of institutional buyers, their payment cycle is 45 days. The shortest is 30. They could even go as far as 90 days or 120 days from the perspective of farmers, hindi nila kakayanin yun because their production cycle is very much dependent doon sa ikot ng pera. So that's why we're foraying now into supply chain finance eventually. But the grant or the objectives for the PHSWR grant would very much help them so that they could identify. For most of the farmers who are farmers and cooperatives who are basically with us, they don't even know kung merong malapit na post-harvest facility. So kung alam nila, and then they could access those facilities, be able to be notified of the rates. And then mas meron sila ngayong option to be able to negotiate and say, okay, meron kaming ina-anticipate na ganito kalaking harvest, hindi namin mabenta lahat. We might as well have it stored with you. And just like the experience of India, ang kalakaran nila is kapag masyado silang lugi sa presyo, they go with a particular service provider which does the cold chain storage for them. Tapos pag biglang tumaas yung presyo and ma-extend naman yung shelf life ng commodities, sa kanila hahatakin from the cold storage and then sa kanila ibibenta with more than enough funds to actually make up for the cost for storing it dun sa CSW facilities. So yeah, it's very timely and it's very strategic insofar as our product roadmap is concerned. Thanks.
Thank you, Sir RV, for sharing your product roadmap and how the DOST funding will be able to take you to that roadmap that you'd like to undertake. And we're really looking forward to your success, no? Because that's what it's all about, right? So, siguro, Sir Ken, are you outside ba or is that a virtual background? Sir Ken, your thoughts? I think you're on mute.
Yeah.
Yan.
Hello?
Nasa field ata si
Definitely
Sir Ken.
this. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Nasa farm. Definitely the grant will help us explore more the market, and then we know that agriculture is very manual. We would think that this would be among to be digitized. Then we want to help to have a lot of idea, and we have a lot of ideas that we want to test in the market, and the grants will help us to go there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Ken. So I think we have like 7 minutes now, so we can entertain more questions pa. Siguro my question is, I'll go back to Ma'am Cherry. So I think you were part of the first batch kasi, no? So I think you already started sometime in September or October. So how's your progress so far? What were you up to as far as the project implementation is concerned? What have you been doing lately?
Yes. Thank you for the question. Actually, we're on track actually. Although syempre with the fishermen and all, tapos we're implementing or testing the new system in Mindoro and Bataan. Medyo slow and medyo yung person-to-person contact limited pa rin. But coordinating with the LGUs helped a lot, and also with other yung small group of fishermen. Yun yung finocus namin to really catch the raw data again, to really enhance the system. And yeah, with the marketplace, we're keeping in touch with DTI and Department of Agriculture for their requirements, kasi we want the system talaga to be both commercial and consumer driven. So hindi namin talaga pwedeng sabihin na i-pattern lang natin dito na standard or what. So we want it as seamless as possible, and we really want to target the export side of the seafood, kasi as compared to the agriculture, yung shelf life ng seafood magkaiba, and magkaiba din yung market nila. So as of today, wala pa talagang export system for seafood, especially on the traceability and export market. So yeah, we're very enthusiastic on that side, and yeah, we're on track even though there are delays, but yes, we're running on the 3rd month na, and yeah, we're all good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Cherry, for that quick update. I'm glad to know that you're on track, no? So Gano'n naman ang ano namin, ang expectations for each one of you. I think majority of this batch in this virtual floor are part of the second batch. So I won't be asking them the same thing because in fact I think some of you are not yet able to get your funds back as you're still finalizing the. Of course, with the exception of Sir Neptune, because yesterday I just handed over to Gian their funding check. But siguro my last question na lang to Sir Neptune, granting that you already received your funding, what are you excited about? Is there something that you're looking forward to this grant and this project?
We're excited for the Christmas that we have a new
Early Christmas
funding.
gift.
In a serious note, we've been preparing for this. So even if we didn't have the funding, we've been preparing for the last couple of months since we received the approval. So we already have the people in place. So we're just waiting for them to be hired. So good thing that we received the funding yesterday. So we will start immediately. So we will have the meeting already by next week. And we have 2 pilot provinces. So we'll be reaching out to them as well. Kasi very important yon, yung coordination na yon on the ground.
All right. Thank you, Sir Neptune. And guys, congratulations, everyone, and welcome to the family. Welcome to the ever-growing Startup Grant Fund recipients. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And we're all excited to see how you progress a year after. So hopefully, baka next time when we do our next SIBOL Startup showcase, we will already be showcasing the fruits of your hard work and labor a year after the funding. So congratulations and thank you. But before that, can I just request a quick photo opportunity with you guys? So just face the camera and the smile. So on my cue. So 3, 2, 1, smile. All right. So thank you, Cherry, Sir Jeff, Aija, Carl, Ken,
Thank you.
Harvey,
Thank you, Sir Edward.
and Neil.
Good luck to everyone.
So see you.
Bye-bye.
See you in a while.
Thank you.
Neil, bro.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So again, thanks to our first batch of startup grantees. Thank you for answering those questions. I'm so happy to, and we're so inspired also to hear those kind words that you've given us and our team and the DOST shared. Now let's move forward to our second batch of speakers. This time from the learning and education sector. So first off is Mr. Jemar Jude Maranga, founder of CodeCham, which is an online platform where programming teachers can manage their class and create programming problems and activities for students to answer online. CodeCham is now being adopted by several schools and universities in the country to deliver their distance education for programming. What is CodeCham? Let's watch this video as Mr. Maranga imparts about their latest project, market segment and validation and targeting for CodeCham.
Hi everyone, I'm Jude. I'm the founder of CodeCham, and I'd like to talk to you about the project that we're currently doing on right now, which is funded by DOST, Market Segment Validation and Targeting for CodeCham, an online programming class platform. But before I talk about that, let me share to you first the problems that are encountered right now by programming teachers in the online programming classes setup. So the first problem is it takes a lot of time for them to check their students' codes. And according to our survey, it takes at least 40 hours every month on average just to check their students' codes. And as a result, their students don't get immediate feedback, which is very problematic because the students won't immediately know if what they're doing is correct or wrong. And it's very hard for them to monitor their classes. They don't know in real time which students are ahead of the class and which students are left behind the class. And so they cannot provide the proper intervention at the right time. And to make things worse, some students don't have desktops or laptops, and they only have mobile phones. And finally, majority of the classes now are asynchronous. Now, to solve all these problems, the solution is CodeCham. So CodeCham lets you manage your classes and create programming problems and activities for students to answer online. Some of the top features of CodeJam are the following. There's automated checking for students' answers. So all the students have to do is just type their code in CodeJam and then submit, and then the system automatically checks their code and the students get immediate feedback. Next is it can be accessed in mobile phone, which is again very useful, most especially in this trying time. And it requires only low internet speed. According to our test, 500 kbps should be enough. And finally, it has built-in course lessons with built-in programming discussions and programming activities, which the teachers could use in addition to their existing learning materials. Now, although we've made some significant progress all through those years, we've reached a lot of universities from all across the country, CodeJam hasn't really found yet the perfect product market fit. And so that is where our project with DOST comes into play. So our objectives in this project is we're going to enhance our existing CodeJam application by developing features which could address the top concerns or problems of our users or soon-to-be users. So for example, right now we're developing this offline version which allows the students to continue answering the programming activities and read the programming lessons even without internet connection. And for each of these future enhancements, we're going to deploy and test them and get user feedback. And out of these user feedback, we're going to refine our product development roadmap. And finally, we're going to validate the new pricing models and modes of payment. Now, by the end of the project, it is expected that we will be able to really achieve perfect product market fit. And with that, we'll be able to slowly realize our mission in CodeJam, which is to make programming education interesting, fun, and simple. Because we believe that if we could develop more programmers, more competent programmers with CodeJam, more and more innovations would be created, and these innovations would make our country truly globally competitive. So that would be all. Thank you very much for listening.
Daghang salamat, Sir Jemmer, for that presentation about CodeJam. Makes me want to learn programmer na tuloy. So now we have Mr. Wedmark Parajes from Advanced Infinite Technology Solutions Incorporated. Mr. Wedmark, a former marketing manager of various publishing companies, is responsible for the Infinite's client acquisition, technical and customer support, and customer feedback analysis. Today, he will be talking about Infinite LMS, a learning management system with outcome-based education analytics. Let's give a virtual round of applause to Mr. Wedmark Parajes.
Enhancement and market validation of Infinite LMS, a learning management system with outcomes-based education analytics. The shift to outcomes-based education framework by many higher education institutions, or HEI, throughout the Philippines has been fueled by the desire of the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, through a series of memorandum orders instructing all HEIs to develop new curriculums that are compliant with the CHED Implementation Handbook for OBE, as supported by CHED CMO 46 Series of 2012. Academic institutions since then developed the OBE curriculum and devised multiple assessment methods to scale and benchmark OBE's educational impact. One method is to conduct exit surveys and supplement of the overall students' grades, which still is the metric used in the most academic institutions. The emergence of COVID-19 pandemic brought unparalleled disruptions in people's way of living. Because of the health crisis, people were forced to stay at home and live in the new normal. Most transactions are done online to practice social distancing. In the academe, face-to-face classes were suspended in all levels, which forced educational institutions to migrate from traditional to flexible learning modalities. Hence, the need for a learning management system to manage online classes. This prompted the researcher developer to create a learning management system designed not only as a tool for the delivery of educational content, but also a platform with analytical tools designed for the planning, analysis, and improvement of the OBE system. Accepting the academic challenges and needs that this extraordinary time has brought us, Infinite Solutions developed an online learning management system platform specifically designed to cater the needs of the Filipino learners. Our startup, Infinite Learning Management System, is an LMS platform that helps students, teachers, and school administrators in monitoring student outcomes and curriculum effectiveness through the use of outcomes-based education compliant data analytics. Infinite LMS OBE data analytics will be able to address the need for real-time monitoring of curriculum effectiveness and as well as support for continuous development of the education system in the Philippines. Our LMS platform will offer viable and cheaper solutions to all the schools within the Philippines while offering standard LMS features at par with most commercial LMS providers. Furthermore, the built-in OBE analytics will provide vital information necessary for the continuous development of the different course curriculum at better alignment to international OBE standards.
Sorry, I was on mute pala on the entire time. So let me repeat my spiel now. So thank you, Mr. Paharajes, for your presentation about the LMS Learning Management System. So moving forward, let's now hear from Mr. Christopher Sabando from Tinker House Incorporated, a creative and highly motivated instructor with expertise in promoting deeper learning of course curriculum through engaging students' lectures, adept in maintaining student engagement and participation through design and implementation of hands-on learning experience. With his motivations, he is leading a project to enhance team learning platform for K-6 learners titled tinkerclubs.com. Let's watch this video. Thank you very much, Tinker Clubs or Tinker House, for that very lively video. I was dancing at the background. So moving on to our next project is the Nutri Coach, which is a work from home productivity tool for nutrition professionals. Nutri Coach is led by its Chief Product Officer, Mr. Sharafia Amina Batwa. Ms. Batwa is a registered nutritionist dietitian who founded the Sports Nutrition Association of the Philippines, or the SNAP, that aims to unite related professionals in sports, medical, and nutrition in delivering evidence based sports nutrition. FIA has been active for the past 9 years in promoting proper nutrition among Filipinos in partnership with the government and non government organizations. Through NutriCoach, she aims to greatly impact and create big changes to the nutrition care process in the Philippines. Let us now learn more about this project through this video.
The work of a nutrition professional is hard. It is complicated, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. It brings a lot of stress.
Hello.
Hi po, good afternoon. Opo, kamusta naman po kayo? Opo, kailangan po talagang masunod po yun. Opo. Sige po. Thank you po.
Nutrition professionals don't get famous. They don't get rich. They are underappreciated. But still, they stay strong and push through day after day. Because what they gain is beyond what wealth can bring. They experience happiness. They are embraced with love. They get to give hope to the hopeless. They reach a greater sense of fulfillment. NutriCoach, together with DOST, is working on a project called Enhancement and Market Validation of NutriCoach, a work-from-home productivity tool for nutrition professionals. The software will provide them all the tools they need in a single platform. It will help them accomplish work in minutes instead of hours. It will give them the opportunity to earn a better living. It will empower them to reach and help more people, no matter who or where they are. The project will not only impact thousands of dietitians and nutritionists, it will also provide encouragement and proper care to over 25 million people who suffer from chronic illnesses such as diabetes, obesity, and malnutrition in the Philippines alone. Help us bring NutriCoach to the world.
Thank you very much, NutriCoach, for that very heartwarming video. That actually felt like I was watching a Jollibee commercial. So moving on, the last project is in the second set of startup project leaders is the virtual reality and networking feature to create a virtual events platform. Let's hear it from Mr. Erwin Dizon, fondly called as Mr. Win, which is an adept learning and events professional and lifelong learning advocate. Most of his corporate experience has been in the areas of organizational development, talent development, human resources, and learning and events in the Philippine conglomerates. Today, with Alllearn and with the pandemic in the background, Win has been at the forefront of helping companies and organizations digitize and shift their business, corporate, and learning events online. Let's watch this video.
Good day, everyone, and thank you to the DOST for providing us an opportunity to present to you Vernu and our virtual or augmented reality technology for our virtual events platform. So I'm the project leader, Win Dizon, and let me start off by sharing to you some quick info about our company, Alllearn, the developer of Vernu. So Alllearn is a 100% Filipino-owned company. It was founded in 2019 as a technology-powered e-learning company with a mission to help SMEs become world-class using the latest technologies. When the pandemic happened in March 2020, we had to pivot online, so we developed Vernu as our virtual events platform and technology. And since then, we have handled close to 200 virtual events attended by more than 50,000 people since the pandemic started. So again, I'm Wing Dizon, the project manager for Vernu's virtual reality feature. And of course, I'd like to recognize Sir Jerry Ilaw, our founder, and of course, the man with the vision and direction behind Vernu. So what is Vernu? So Vernu is a cloud-based virtual venue for online events like conferences and business expos. It's easy to use, one-click access, no need to download any software. And it's fully brandable. We place and we highlight and we put in the center our client's brand. We have powerful notifications and reminders, and we are the most interactive platform with 14 engagement tools available. Later, I'll run you down, I'll show you a list of these 14 engagement tools or interactions. Here's a snapshot of some of the events, socially relevant events that we've done for over the year, focusing on the new normal, like green recovery, a cash-light economy, water demand management, of course, medical webinars, helping our medical frontliners and the medical industry cope and manage the COVID-19 pandemic. And here's a snapshot of our interface, our Vernu interface. We've hosted in our platform some well-known personalities like Jaime and Augusto Zobelda Ayala, well-known motivational speakers are Francis Kong, and celebrity host Mr. Ryan Agoncillo. As I mentioned earlier, I'm presenting here the list of our engagement tools or interactions. And I'd like to highlight our more popular interactions like the virtual photo booth. We designed it pre-pandemic, following the experience pre-pandemic, where you can take a selfie and then we place a frame or overlay virtually, and you can download and share that virtual picture. And of course, our e-raffle, no need for a tambiolo or fishbowl. Picking of winners is all automated via our platform. So as you can see, we're capable of all these interactions versus our competitors, Zoom and other foreign virtual event platforms. So again, thank you to the DOST for believing in us, for supporting us in bringing Vernu to a higher level. As you all know, and as you see, and according to the business world, the Philippine event industry has lost 132.9 billion in revenue and displaced 370,000 workers because of the pandemic. With Vernu, with our solution and our innovation, and with DOST support, we're going to develop a virtual or augmented reality feature so that attendees can attend the event in a more immersive and real-life experience. So again, I'm sharing a chart or table showing Vernu versus our foreign competitors. And as you can see, we are capable of end-to-end solutions for virtual events, from registration to notifications to interactions to certification, and then soon augmented and virtual reality. So also, as you've heard, Facebook has rebranded to Meta, entering that virtual event space, confirming and validating Vernu's direction towards the virtual event space as well. So we will develop a virtual reality technology for online events. We will do research and design. We will test it. And when it is fully tested, we will deploy it to our live and future clients. To come up with a pilot tested commercially viable virtual reality technology. And once it is viable, we will partner with at least 10 event organizers and venues. And we will help the event industry bounce back in the new normal. As you know, they have been hardest hit. So with our technology, we will help them bounce back in the new normal. So again, thank you for listening to my short and quick presentation. And I hope to see all of you use our virtual reality technology in the future. And I hope to see you all in our new virtual events in the future. Again, thank you and maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat din, Mr. Win Dizon, for your presentation about Vernu. And that ends our second batch of Startup Project Leaders. Now I would like to request our presenters for the second batch to join me on the virtual floor for the question and answer segment. So I would like to call once again on the virtual stage, Jemmer, Jude Maranga of CodeCham, Wedmark Parajes of Infinite LMS, Christopher Sabando of Tinker House, Tia Batwa of NotiCoach, and of course, Sir Win Dizon from All Learn Incorporated. Hello guys, magandang hapon and nice to see you once again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good
afternoon.
afternoon.
So same as the first batch of speakers, I think this is the first time that we'll be speaking on a more lighter note because the last time that we saw each other was during your presentation to the technical panel, and the mood there was totally different from the mood this afternoon. So siguro I'll just also veer away from those hard questions that were asked by the technical panel. So this batch is a combination of education and learning technologies and work from home technologies. So siguro my first question, I'll direct this to our three startups. Kulang pa ba tayo? Wait lang. I think are we missing someone? Or I think complete. Yeah, I think we're missing one more, no? Si Infinite LMS. But siguro, I'll address this to our two gentlemen who are into education and learning, Sir Jemar and Sir Chris. How this pandemic I won't ask the negative side though, but more on the positive side. How this pandemic helped you as a startup company, considering that a lot of schools, or if not most of the schools, have transitioned into online learning? Do you think this pandemic was sort of a blessing in disguise for you? Sir Jemar, maybe I can start with you.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. So this pandemic, although it's really bad, but in our case, it was really a blessing in disguise. Because of this pandemic, our growth accelerated as more universities and more teachers were open to new technologies or to change, basically, because they have no choice. So right now, to be honest, I'm actually quite in the middle of wanting things to go back to normal and wanting things to stay for a while as it is. But yeah, basically this for our case, the pandemic is really a blessing in disguise.
Thank you, Sir Jemar. Sir Chris, would you want to add to that?
Hello, yes, good afternoon, everyone. Prior to the pandemic, we had like 18 branches nationwide. That's all the way from Tugigaraw down to Zamboanga. And looking back, we were very much bogged down by administrative, with dealing with the malls, dealing with our people. When the pandemic hit, nawala yan, which allowed us to concentrate more on the activities that we're gonna make, to really think hard kung ano ba talaga yung mga. In fact, there are some activities na phase out namin because they were just out of theme from what we wanted to do. So it allowed us to focus more. And also, the pandemic, this online thing, it opened a whole new space for us, a whole new universe essentially, where we can na parang mas unlimited space. There are less restrictions here and there. So yeah, that's also why we're here. Kasi our the project involving PCIEERD is geared towards that online platform namin.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Chris, no, for that information, and happy to know how you're progressing so far. For Miss Fia and Sir Win, my question is kind of relative or related to my earlier question to the two gentlemen who are into education and learning. Um, how this pandemic changed the landscape of your business? Where did you had some pivots uh, from your operations back when it or prior to the pandemic versus the how your business is operating now during this pandemic? Maybe you can share to us what were the changes in your business operations or in your business model. I'll start with, of course, ladies first, Mampia.
Well, we are actually still on track, and but the difference is people are more aware, especially from my profession, about the importance of technology and innovating the process. So it was more easy for us to validate some of the items we have to validate with the market. Though currently now, with the new normal, a lot of dietitians or nutrition professionals like me will typically still be on a very long run or long hours of work just to finish the work. So, madaming adjustment with the development, so madaming add-ons with the new understanding with the whole process.
How about you, Sir Win? I know for a fact that like the other two gentlemen here, as they shared earlier, the pandemic is sort of a blessing in disguise for them. I guess it was also the same case for you, no? Because I think you transitioned also to virtual um, events. Siguro, maybe you can share lang how was your startup company prior to the pandemic? What was your operations back then compared to what you are doing now during this pandemic?
Yeah, so yeah, similar to what JMR said, there's a part of us that wants to go back to normal, but the pandemic has been a blessing in disguise because we had to pivot. Um, as regards your question, what we were doing pre-pandemic, as I said in my presentation earlier, we were a training provider for micro, small, and medium enterprises. So we did physical training. We had a learn hub in the city state center. We did physical training, but that completely stopped because physical trainings are mass gatherings. So when that happened, our founder, Sir Jerry, since we are also slowly going into tech, decided to pivot and came up with Venue, our virtual events venue. So it's again, Gemma is correct. There's a part of me missing that old physical classroom, but now we just did an event last morning. The client said they started with 30 participants, but they had 300 participants online. So the virtual space has been, it has been democratized training, it democratized learning. So there's more access now. So there's a part of me that says, let's go on, let's keep this going. So and we're thankful for the DOST for that support because yes, we will be able to keep this technology going with your help.
Thank you, Sir Win. My next question is similar to what I asked during the first group, no? Kasi I know for a fact that you had different experience in your journey applying for the grant. So siguro I'll ask the same question na lang din. How was your experience applying for the DOST funding? Was it hard? Was it challenging? Or maybe in your group or from this batch, some of you had it was easy. So maybe I can start with you, Ma'am Fia.
Mhm. Yes, actually, it was very challenging for us because a lot of the tech panelists was not really familiar, like the general public, about how nutrition professionals work. So it was very challenging for us to really prove the problem that we are trying to solve in NutriCoach.
Yeah, so thank you, Ma'am Fia, for sharing that. I was kind of expecting you was gonna say the same thing about sleepless nights and all, but I think yours was a totally different story because you're saying that
Yes.
the challenge was really conveying the message of what NutriCoach
Mhm.
is all about and how is it going to help, of course, the people during this pandemic, right? And how it aligns to the objective of this program. Correct, Amphia?
Yes. Yes.
Thanks for that. Sir Chris, can you maybe you can add something to that, or can you share with us your experience applying for the grant? Was it, you think it was worth it?
In our case, it was quite challenging kasi we were, like I said before the pandemic, we had several branches we were taking care of, franchisees here and there.
Mhm.
And so we were concerned with logistics, communication, and then, fulfilling our duties to our stores. Um, in the application process pa lang, truth be told, it was my wife, our CEO, who really worked hard on it. And for us, it was an enlightening process because we had to look inward into what we really wanted to do as a company and how we wanted to achieve our goals. And the application process, even in the end, sabi ng, my wife and I were talking na parang, even if you don't get this, it was still a big help kasi the process of going through that, it really parang it gives spotlight to certain aspects about our company and the things that we wanted to do. Now we would not have normally looked at
Mhm.
before. So parang that was very para sa amin, it was quite enlightening actually. We're also very happy na na-approve kami, but pero regardless, we were at that point na parang kahit hindi kami ma-approve, it was still a good process to go through.
Yeah, I was having goosebumps while listening to that, Sir Chris. No, thank you for that. And we're so happy hearing those stories. No, like you mentioned, regardless if you were approved or not, you were happy about the experience going through the process. It wasn't just about the funding, but more importantly, it was also about learning new things, learning the experience, learning from those people who were there then, who were been there, done that, learning from our technical panel. And thank you for sharing that story, Sir Chris. And we're looking forward to your success as a startup company. I will not ask the same question to Jemar and Win, but I'll be asking you about um, how do you think will this funding help you as a startup? To especially Jemar, I know you're kinda sikat na in Cebu. You're getting, you've been, some of the schools in Cebu are already using your platform. But how do you think will the funding help you more as a startup company? Um, why still ask funding from the DOST? Siguro that's the more direct question. No?
Yeah, sure. So, this funding actually helps us to focus more talaga doon sa on delivering value and not worrying about how to survive basically. And also because of this funding, we were able to accelerate our development as we were able to hire more developers in
Mhm.
our team. So yeah, this funding, okay, to be honest, when we first started presenting our proposal for this funding, we weren't really that that's that serious. We were just like, okay, let's propose like that. So just go with the flow. But then once we got the funding, that's actually the time we realized that we really needed this funding very much. I could not imagine right now how our state would be if we don't have this funding. So this funding is really helpful for us. So I'd like to really thank DOST for this one. And I'd also like to, kasi the question earlier to the question now that is addressed to us is different from the one addressed earlier. But I'd like to point out also that uh, this the overall process of the application of the proposal was surprisingly quite easy for us. And the main reason for that is because of the help of the technical panel talaga of the OSTP shared, specifically Sir Lee, Sir Christian, and Sir Edward. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what others experienced, but in our case, it was surprisingly easy to. It was surprisingly easy. Talaga. There were a lot of very helpful inputs. Our direction became clearer. Our plans and direction became clearer. So very big help talaga. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Jimmer. Baka mapaiyak mo na ako niyan. And surprisingly, I was so happy also to hear your side of the story. No, in contrast to what other startups have shared earlier, that they were having sleepless nights. siguro yung isa 2 linggo, yung isa naman 1 buwan. Si Ma'am Pia naman, it was all about really, the challenge was yun nga, conveying the value proposition of the Trick Coach. In your case, it was an easy ride, and thank you for acknowledging our help and our efforts to help you as a startup company. I think we were just doing our job, no, to really help the startup. We were how would I say it? We're doing extra mile. So I think ano naman, we provided equal opportunities naman to all the applicants. So thank you for that. Sir Win, maybe you can also share your story and your journey applying for the grant.
Yeah. Yeah, similar to what Gemma said, it was, yeah, ganun how we started, parang go with the flow. Actually, I was hesitant at first, but our owners really pounded on me, hindi, sayang try mo. So I remember watching that the startup grant rules in Facebook Live like 3 to 5 times. So medyo memorize ko na yung mga linya ng Sir Edward, trying to review those startup grant procedures, preparing for that for the documents. But yun nga, it's a helpful process because it helped us streamline, also rethink our business. Are we really heading towards that right direction? It is the thing to do. So yun, all those revisions, all those questions during the panel, yung mga balik-balik na yun helps us. Yun, sabi nga isang colleague ko, it's like a thesis proposal. So the pandemic let us rethink our business, but this helped us refine that strategy even more. So yeah, similar to what Jenner said, yeah, I'm thankful for Sir Jomar naman. For he was the one who we worked closely in the DOST PCIEERD, so we're thankful for them, for their guidance, for their assistance. And yeah, going to your question, definitely the grant will help us accelerate again our development, especially now that we see things going back to normal. The key now is to make sure we're relevant, that people, of course, we're moving to virtual events, so the experience is not the same physically, but with your grant, you'll be able to accelerate virtual reality and hopefully be able to provide that new immersive experience to everyone. So thank you again to DOST for your guidance, support, for believing in our product and in our service.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Win. No? So my next question, I'll direct this to CodeJam and Tinkerhouse, because I think from this batch you were part of the first batch. So you already received your funding. I think you started already with your projects, no? Some September, October. So how have you been so far? Any relevant or significant updates from your end? What were you up to lately? So maybe I'll start with Sir Chris naman.
So yes, we started officially September 13, and we are on track naman to release our parang prototype by December. Pero this year, December this year. Right now we have on our roster about 200 kids that will participate in the alpha testing, kumbaga. And then by March, we are hoping na maka-release na to the general public, to everyone else, yung first version namin ng Tinker Clubs. Hopefully, maging maganda ang performance and the reviews, hopefully. But kung hindi naman, we still have time to tweak it and fix things here and there. Pero so far, we're on good, we're on time naman, I think.
Yeah, how about you, Jamar?
Yeah. So first of all, we were able to hire na the required personnel to really speed up our pace. And right now we are on track to, actually we haven't announced it yet, but we are on track to develop it, or to releasing the offline version I shared to you earlier in the video, which will really have a very big impact talaga to a lot of learners right now in programming, because as I've said earlier there are a lot of less fortunate students here in our country specifically who do not have the appropriate internet access, and our offline version will be a very big help talaga, and we are on track to releasing that by sometime around December. So ayun.
Thank you, Jamar, and nice to know that you already were able to hire your programmers, and you're on track with your progress and activities as regard to the project. Siguro my last question na lang, no? To close this, siguro I'll ask Ma'am Fia na lang. What advice can you give to startups who are planning to apply for this grant? So any tips or advice to them that you can share, or any learnings that you've learned from
Mhm.
going through the process?
Well, yes. Thank you for that question. Well, actually, wag tayong matakot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
para may mangyari, kailangan natin may gawin. And
Mm-hmm.
imagine, I'm a nutrition profession, by profession, I'm a nutritionist dietitian, and talagang with my team members, talagang ginrab namin yung opportunity to challenge ourselves also, and also the team. And sobrang thankful kami kasi hindi namin talaga ina-expect from all the applicants na isa kami sa makukuha. And it will really help us expand and enhance our work. And kasi gusto ko din ma-share na nutrition professionals or nutritionist dietitians kasi is one of the profession or healthcare professionals na hindi nakakakuha ng enough support. So maraming salamat po, DOST.
Thank you, Ma'am Fia. Akala ko iiyak na si Ma'am Fia. She's getting emotional.
Emotional talaga ako. Totoo, emotional ako kasi
Yeah,
talagang, yeah,
yeah.
it's actually a revolution in nutrition here in the Philippines.
Yeah, we always get that kind of emotional, I don't know, feeling, especially we've encountered a lot of startups crying in the middle of the technical panel, not because they were not able to answer the questions, but they're very overwhelmed with the feeling that they're already getting support from the government, they're learning new things from the technical panel. So uh, we're happy not because they're crying, but because we're happy that they're sharing their thoughts about this entire journeys. And with that, as much as I want to ask a lot of questions from you, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and congratulations to the four of you. Unfortunately, Infinite Elements was not able to join us this afternoon. I think he's having some technical issues, no? But nonetheless, thank you very much for this opportunity. Congratulations. And hopefully a year from now, we'll be hearing your updates. Yun nga, as I mentioned also earlier, during the first Q&A, we'll be having siguro a demo day of all your innovations, and we will be proudly showcasing that a year after. So let me just close this with a quick photo opportunity. So can you face the camera? And on my cue, so 1, 2, 3, smile. All right. Thank you, Jemar, Sir Win, Fia, and Chris. And we'll see you again very soon. And just let us know if you have any concerns and problems to your with regard to your projects. All right.
Thank you so much.
So before we proceed to our second set of presentations, I know you've been excited to with this, no? So let me just give you another round of our icebreaker. So if you are still with us, can you type again ready on our chat tab? So sige, sige. Let me check our chat, no? If you guys are typing ready. So please type ready. Ewan ko lang kung magkamali pa kayo ng spelling sa ready. So it's R-E-A-D-Y. So ready, just type it in the Q&A box or in the chat box in our Excel events platform. All right, so I'm seeing a couple of people typing already. So yeah, so I'll just give you a few seconds to type ready in our chat tab. All right, so for this round, earlier our category was about countries, but this time our category is about Philippine cities. So this is a test of how well you know the cities in the Philippines and how good you are at geography. So the same with the earlier icebreaker, the first one to guess wins the prize. So we already took note of the winners from the first batch. So we're giving another 3 chances to win. So all right, so can we now go to our first item? Yan. So our first item, mukhang pahirap ng pahirap ha. Again, our category is Philippine cities. So you have 3 emojis here. So let me guess, let me check if someone already has the correct answer. Let me see. All right, this is located in the south. The correct answer is Batangas. So there's there's a tang, and there's a gas. All right, so let's move to our second item from one city to another city. So this was looking difficult. Really? I'm not sure if I am getting the answer correctly, but let me check if our audience is able to get the answers correctly. I'm not sure. So let's just wait for probably 5 seconds before we reveal the final answer or the answer to this item. All right, so the correct answer is the Queen City of the South, Cebu City. May nakakuha ba ng tamang answer? I think I got it wrong. All right, so our third item for this batch of icebreaker. Mukhang mahirap to ah. I think this is harder than the previous one. Siguro I'll give you more time to guess. Siguro mga 10 seconds. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Answer reveal. Oh, it's Malabon. It's not Malabon. It's Malabon. So congratulations to our winners. So that's all for our icebreaker. So who won? We'll announce them later at the end of the program. So stay tuned so you know how to claim your prize. Now we proceed to the last set of projects. These are under the sustainable industries. The first one will be discussed by Mr. Emmanuel Bubis, a BS Electronics Engineering graduate with over 9 years of experience in software and machine development. His technical specializations include web and mobile development, circuit designs, automation, software development, and machine learning. Mr. Bubis founded Robin PH, a startup that manufactures reverse vending machine that accepts PET bottles and aluminum cans in exchange for reward points. So I'm sure you're all interested to learn about Robin PH. So let's all watch this video.
A resident disposing his trash on sidewalks. This is an ordinary scenario in the community, but in reality has a deeper story. As a matter of fact, the Philippines is the top 3 plastic polluter after Indonesia and China. These plastics usually come from poor waste management in different barangays. With at least 23,000 residents in an urban barangay setting, all these households throw their trash weekly with one garbage collector. So, what is the problem? Too much trash is collected for the dump site to accommodate, so garbage collectors limit its collection. With uncollected trash, residents caught diseases such as dengue, chikungunya, and Zika outbreaks. The answer? A viable solution for an urgent cause.
Robin, or Recycle On Demand Bin, is a reverse vending system that can be used to accept PET bottles in exchange of amazing rewards. Rewards can be in the form of points that can be converted into meals in a certain restaurant or a one-day tour in a certain resort. The idea here is to motivate people to do recycling.
Thank you very much, Sir Eman, for that presentation about Robin. No? So next up, we're calling on Mr. Renzo Dokusin, the Chief Technology Officer of IOL Incorporated, a premier systems development and digital marketing startup based in Baguio City. Over the past 3 years, he has been developing web-based systems, including a school information system, event management system with certificate validation, and HR system. He will shed light on Advanced Robust Cooperative System, or ARCS, which is an integrated software as a SaaS service solution for cooperative management and regulatory compliance. To learn more about ARCS, let's watch this video.
Hello,
I am Renzo Ducusin, CTO of VioWool Inc., and I am the project leader for the project entitled Enhancement and Validation of the Advanced Robust Cooperative System, or ARCS, an integrated software-as-a-service solution for the cooperative management and regulatory compliance. In the Philippines, cooperatives are everywhere. A cooperative is a unique business structure where the members are co-owners of the business. There are at least 20 types of cooperatives in the country. Some of these famous types include credit co-ops, co-op banks, transfer co-op, and the famous electric co-ops. However, the co-op sector often suffers a stigma that they are small, not properly managed, or even sometimes a scam. So we dig deeper on the possible reasons why this stigma persists. One of the reasons is that many of these co-ops, especially in the provinces, employ manual processes that can lead to systemic risks with the co-op and mismanagement. This subsequently results in loss of trust in the cooperative. With the problem of inefficiency, you would expect that there would already be solutions available in the market. However, existing solutions are grossly lacking. They are not scalable, they are not tailored for cooperatives, thus they lack some key services, and they are quite expensive. No wonder co-ops would prefer manual processes instead of using system in their operation. I am also a member of cooperative, and I enjoy programming systems to automate processes. I know the importance of having a reliable system is ensuring the members' trust in our co-op. Since we were not satisfied with the existing solutions, our team started building a system that would give co-ops access to quality system solutions. The Advanced Robust Cooperative System, a cost-effective web-based comprehensive solution for cooperative management and regulatory compliance. We are building ARCS with the help of our partner cooperative, and we have launched an alpha version. Let's listen to what some users and members of our partner cooperative has to say about the ARCS.
Recording, take 1.
Ako si Sunshine B. Laudo, accounting clerk ng The Online Community Credit Cooperative. Ang mga tungkulin ko dito ay ako ang mga nagme-maintain ng mga lahat ng transactions ng cooperative.
Hello guys, I'm Rudy Maximo. Nakilala ko po ang OCC sa mga kaibigan ko na nagtatrabaho dito.
Malaki ang tulong ng system sa aking trabaho. From manual, nag-shift na kami from automated sa help ng system.
Hello, ako si Jasmine from One Punch Inc., marketing coordinator. Yung application, maganda naman siya kasi accessible siya. At the same time, convenient siya kasi pwede mo siyang i-access kapag nasa labas ka anytime.
So far, ano may tulong sa'yo?
Mga kagaya ng paglo-loan, di ba? Kasi kapag kailangan mo ng pera, pag emergency, nandun ang OCC para tumulong.
Nare-recommend ko to sa ibang mga kooperatiba. Dahil kung nakatulong ito sa amin, makakatulong din ito sa kanila. Imagine kung nakamanual pa rin sila, tiyak na mapapakamot sila sa kanilang mga ulo. Pero pag nakasystem na sila, pwede na silang makapag-relax at makapanood ng kanilang mga paboritong telenovela.
I think Sunshine now has more time to watch her favorite K-drama. Here are some of the features that the system Sunshine uses include the membership database, cooperative multi-user management, financial accounts, loan module, basic reporting, and online deposit and loan payment. This is how the system would look like in a web browser. The system can also be accessed through the mobile app. We are currently building other features that co-ops find useful, like the election module, financial reporting, CDA reporting in HR system. And in the future, we plan to harness the power of data to include the ARCS ecosystem, credit scoring, and financial risk assessment functionalities. If we are able to scale the ARCS, how many people will be able to help? There are over 18,000 co-ops with more than 11.6 million members nationwide, and they collectively employ more than 513,000 employees and manage half a trillion assets. So it is really important to have a system that will help co-op manage all of these assets. We hope that the ARCS, with the help of DOST PHSIRD, will be able to help many co-ops in the future and help uplift the cooperative sector in the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Renzo, for your presentation about ARCS. Now we will have our next presenter, Mr. Lindbergh Gilera, which is a registered chemist and a product development lead of Magwayan Organics. His expertise and skills include eco-friendly and sustainable product formulation development, quantitative chemical analysis, biotechnology, phytochemical analysis, to name a few. His major projects include the development of Magway shampoo bars and sustainable plastic-free alternative to bottled and sachet shampoos. Today, we'll be hearing from him about Magway Reef-Safe sunscreen formulation for market adoption. Let's watch this video.
There's so much to love about the ocean. It's thrilling and calming, a destination and a home. But our love for the ocean could be what's draining the life and color out of it.
Corals are made up of polyps, which are tiny living organisms sensitive to their environment. Chemicals such as oxybenzone found in most sunscreens kill the polyps, causing the corals to bleach and die.
Corals are the rainforests of the seas. When they die, we suffer wave upon wave of consequences. All it takes is a single drop of oxybenzone, an ingredient found in almost every sunscreen out in the market, along with other ingredients that are toxic to the coral reef. That's why we've created Magway. Every ingredient that goes into it is safe for the coral reef. It is specially formulated to protect the ocean, as it protects us from the sun. Now, every time you swim with Magway, you're showing the ocean some love, and it can love you back in full living color. Magway, protecting the colors of the reef.
Good day, I'm Zar, one of the co-founders of Magway, and here to present our project with DOST, improvement of the Magway Reef-Safe sunscreen formulation to accelerate its market adoption. Did you know that the Philippines is at the heart of the Coral Triangle, center of marine biodiversity in the world? But these corals are threatened due to human activities, climate change, overfishing, plastic pollution, to name a few. Now, what most beachgoers don't know is that the typical sunscreen contains chemicals that are toxic to corals at very low concentration. So, for instance, 1 drop of oxybenzone can be toxic to corals already in 6.5 Olympic-sized pools, so that's small. And these sunscreens are what's most accessible to us in pharmacies. So these are the likes of Nivea and Beach Hut. So why is it important to protect the corals? Corals are habitats to marine creatures. So its degradation affects marine life and also the lives of fisherfolk who depend on this marine life. The health of the corals also, and thus of the marine ecosystem, also impact tourism, since healthy beaches are an attraction for tourists, and they're also important for coastal protection, and without it could cause greater flooding. So we want to give beachgoers an alternative to chemical sunscreens to allow them to enjoy the ocean without causing harm to it. Our solution is a locally produced reef-safe sunscreen, Magway. This does not contain any of the chemicals that are toxic to corals, so the active ingredients are safe. The non-nano minerals, zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. It's SPF 50+ and has a non-greasy formulation. Of course, it's also FDA certified. Though there is validated demand, as we already sold over 6,000 units since the launch, one glaring consumer feedback is the white cast seen when applied to the skin. So 46% of our online reviews have mentioned the white cast. Although some consumers don't mind this, this would deter consumers who are more conscious of their appearance. Thus, with this project with DOST to help accelerate adoption of the reef-safe sunscreen, we aim to develop 2 new reef-safe sunscreen products. One with less white cast, and also a tinted sunscreen that will blend with the merino skin. And so we have 4 objectives for this project. So first, to develop 2 formulations, the regular sunscreen with less white cast and the tinted sunscreen. And second, to validate the non-marine toxicity of the sunscreen. So instead of just the absence of the chemicals that are toxic to sunscreens, we will conduct tests on corals with the help of UP Marine Science Institute. And third, to determine the properties important for consumers like SPF levels and hypoallergenicity. And fourth, to ensure desirability with consumers, will also conduct a consumer usage test. So we aim to do this within a 1-year timeline. Okay, so when the tourism industry bounces back after being badly hit by the pandemic, we want to help tourism in the Philippines recover responsibly by protecting these marine ecosystems from possible damage caused by an increase in tourists. So we want Magway to help impress ecotourism into the consciousness and behaviors of beachgoers by offering more sustainable, reef-safe options and generating awareness about this cause. And with that, we're very excited to start this project with DOST and hoping we can save the oceans together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Magway, for that environment-friendly innovation, which is the reef-safe sunscreen formulation. Now we're down to our last project for this event, but I hope you still stay until the end. We still have a few more segments left. Copying the presentations is Mr. Emmanuel Cagimbal, an experienced entrepreneur, operations manager, and project manager with stints as management consultant in manufacturing, mining, and accreditation of engineering education. Mr. Cagimbal is the founder and currently the Chief Executive Officer of Experto, a startup and online platform focused on breaking the barriers of lifelong learning and professional development from Wavent Innovations Incorporated. Let us learn more about Experto through this video.
Good afternoon. I am Engineer Emmanuel Cagimbal of Experto, empowering professional societies in the digital world. Professional societies and associations offer professionals and students opportunities for mentoring, learning, and networking to improve skills that will keep them abreast with the latest developments in the rapidly changing world through lifelong learning. Early involvement of students and young professionals to these professional organizations can encourage competence, confidence, and awareness of and access to lifelong learning that provides relevant and meaningful information about their industries. This can be fostered through engagement of students and professionals in activities such as seminars, conferences, workshops, and access to the organization's publication. However, even before the pandemic, professionals often encountered a lot of problems when participating in these kinds of programs and events. The most common complaints are about manual registrations, long queues, limited payment channels, overbooking, and delayed certifications. And additional problems and challenges emerge when doing these professional events in virtual. There is lack of engagement among the participants, speakers, and even sponsors and exhibitors. And services such as registrations, payments, and certifications are not integrated and done separately. Most organizations also do not have the technical expertise to conduct programs and events in virtual. And there is also a concern on the privacy and security of the systems used in these events and the certifications that were issued. These problems occur because planning and managing professional development events like seminars and conferences becomes a challenge for professional societies with their limited manpower and lack of technology. And that is why we created Experto. We want to help professional societies thrive in the digital world. Our goal is to help them take full advantage of technology so that they can focus their efforts on their core activities. And Experto can handle all the messy stuff and technology challenges that they face. At Experto, we offer end-to-end services, including registrations, payment collections, setup of virtual event platforms and engagement tools, and issuance of digital credentials. We have partnered with more than 20 professional societies and associations since we have started our operations in 2020. In the events that we have hosted for these organizations, we have identified challenges that we see as opportunities to enhance our products and services. By identifying the current and future needs of our stakeholders, the Experto team will be executing a research and development project entitled Enhancement of Experto Events and Credentialing Platform using Cloud Technologies and Artificial Intelligence for Professionals. The general objective of this project is to develop, validate, and deploy enhancements to the Experto events and credentialing platform to provide a more engaging learning experience for professionals and a convenient means of tracking and updating member credentials for the professional organizations. For credentialing, as of now, Experto uses a white label credentialing platform. Because of these, customizations in the design and process is limited, and data control is the responsibility of the issuer. By using blockchain for the issuance of the digital credentials for professionals, it can increase the efficiency of exchanging and evaluating credentials. It provides more reliable ways of protecting and verifying credentials, thereby reducing fraud, and it also expands the control of the professional, our learner, over their credentials. We will also be using AI for content moderation and professional networking. Content moderation will be used to filter out spam, unprofessional, and hate messages. We want to encourage engagement and participation from our attendees, but measures must be in place to foster safe and healthy user experience. For networking, AI services can match professionals with other professionals with the same interests and goals that can help them advance their career. We are encouraged to develop these new features as we see the untapped huge potential of professional societies in playing a significant part in adult training. Through our Experto platforms, we aim to remove the barriers to learning and unlock the potential of the professional network as dynamic sources and providers of career development, skill building, and professional networking opportunities for professionals. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your support.
Thank you very much, Team Experto, and to our last batch of project leaders. Now, I would like to invite our last set of presenters to our virtual stage to join me for the question and answer portion. So I'd like to call on Mr. Emmanuel Bubis, Renzo Dokusin, Lindbergh, Galera, and our last speaker, Emmanuel Kagimbal. Hello guys, how are you? And nice seeing you. So I just realized, I just realized this is an all-male batch. So how have you been so far? Are you guys okay?
Yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so thanks no for joining us this afternoon. But let me start with my question. I think I forgot to ask this earlier in the first two batches. Before I dive into the other questions or the usual questions that I ask, one thing that I've been wanting to ask this group is, what was your motivation in starting up a company or building your own startup company? Ano yung story behind building Magway or building Experto, IOL, or Robin? Siguro I'll start with in alphabetical order na lang, no? So I'll start with parehong Eman kasi. So siguro si Eman Kagimbal kasi apelido niya si, hindi, wrong pala ako. Si Sir Eman Bobis pala dapat kasi Sir Eman Emmanuel Bobis.
Yes, good afternoon po.
So ano yung what was the motivation in building your own startup company? I know that you've been part of the Batangas State PBI. We've been hearing about you even before the Startup Grant Fund program, but maybe can you talk about what was how was your journey and what was the motivation for you to build your own startup company?
So my motivation for building Robin or even the startup company we have now is to, first of all, Robin is we emphasize that recyclable materials, very valuable materials. We can generate more valuable things on recycling and also for helping the environment.
Yeah, but other than that, on a more personal level, like, was there someone who asked or inspired you, hey, mag-start up ka, or was this out of the thesis from you when you were a student? Ganun ba yun? Ganun ba yung story
Actually,
behind?
The story behind this is kahit nung high school pa lang ako is I really into doing business. I always generate entrepreneurship activities, even it's very small, like profit. I always try many things to have business with others.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, sir. You already had that passion with you pala, no? Even before,
Yes.
even when you were in high school, and you're still continuing to do that. Thank you, Sir Eman, for sharing that. So from one Eman, I'll go to another Eman. Sir Eman Kagumbal, maybe you can share to us your story, your motivation, or why you started a startup company, story behind Experto.
Ayan. So, Experto was founded because yun nga, I was part of the Philippine Technological Council. So I work with Philippine Technological Council, which is the umbrella organization of all engineering organizations in the Philippines. And then yun nga, I want to promote startup. Uh, uh, I want to promote parang entrepreneurship to the engineers, to the young engineers. And then I was looking for ano ba yung parang pwede kong gawing business. At the same time, I was attending this events, conferences, and I was also engaged with different engineering organizations. So doon ko nakita yung there's a need for a digital transformation for these organizations because they provide a lot of opportunities for learning, for networking, and I think if we would be able to empower these organizations, we could get a lot more from these organizations.
Yeah, thank you. So that yours is a totally different story naman. By attending a lot of events, you got inspired and you saw the need and the opportunity to work with different organizations, and that's why you developed Experto. Thank you, Sir Eman. I'll go to Lindbergh, who is a very technical person. I was having nosebleeds while reading your profile. So for such a very technical you're in a very technical field, like what was the motivation for you to pursue business or start up? Maybe you can share your journey, Sir Lindbergh.
Actually, I heard about the story of the co-founders, the presenter in the video, Caesar. So, if you can remember, or it's not a secret that the Philippines is in the heart of the Coral Triangle. So we're in an area where the rich marine biodiversity is located. So I'm a Batangueño. I grew up in a coastal town in Batangas. So familiar ko doon near the Verde Island Passage. And then the co-founders, Sar and the other co-founders, when they were looking for a reef-safe sunscreen here in the Philippines, they couldn't found one. And then they had to buy pa from the US. So what they did was to build or do Magwai Reef Safe sunscreen, or build the sunscreen that would be available locally to preserve the marine biodiversity here in the country and to disrupt the let's say the monopoly of the over-the-counter brands that are more accessible. So that's the motivation of this project, to improve our product, to compete head to head with the big names in the sunscreen industry.
Wow. Thank you, Lindbergh. No, that's a very challenging task for the group. And yours also is a good contrast with all the applications, apps, systems that we've been receiving. So I think you're one of the few startups who are into who's really developing a product that's tangible now. Thank you, Sir Lindbergh. I'll go now to Renzo. Hi, Renzo. I think this is the first time
Hello.
that I'm meeting you. Siguro you can also share with us your motivation, why you joined IOL. Please.
Yes, so basically yung IOL po, I started IOL as an intern, and after nung internship namin, I was offered the job na kaagad ni Sir Kevin to be the web developer in IOL. And from that, dun na kami nag-start to work on our projects, and ngayon we were able to come up with this idea, this ARCS, this advanced robust cooperative management, and yeah.
Yeah, sige. Thank you, Sir Renzo. So yours naman is a different story then, kasi sabi mo nga you were you started as an on-the-job trainee, and then you were absorbed by the startup company. I think it's rare to see, especially in the Philippines, no, students doing OJT in a startup company. In most cases, students would go for bigger companies when they when they are doing their on-the-job training. So happy to note that there are students who are going into startups or applying as OGTs in this startup. So we hope to have more of that in the Philippines. So my next question siguro is similar to what I also asked earlier with the other groups. No? I would also like to hear and know kung how was your experience so far applying for the grant. I know in this batch, merong nag-second take, parang board exam lang. I'm not talking about Experto, but yes, I am talking about you, Eman. No, just kidding. So siguro you can briefly share lang, kasi we've been hearing different stories from the first and second batch. Merong hindi nakatulog. Meron namang namadalian. But siguro, I'll start with Eman because I think, Eman, this is your second time that you applied for a grant. You started with another grant funding opportunity, but I'm happy that you pushed through with the startup grant. So how was the experience? Was it more challenging for you this time compared to the first funding program that you applied to, or namadalian ka ba?
Ayan. Actually, this is our second time. We tried to apply for the first grant. Almost the same project. So we didn't get the chance to really present to the panel on our first try. On our second try, we got a chance to really present. So we just tweaked a little about our project. Um, less work as compared to the first one because we just speak a little bit about our project and hope we are very thankful na at this time parang they see the value of the project that we are doing for the professionals and the professional organizations. So given that we are operating, so yun nga, sumabay siya with our operations. Yun yung medyo mahirap doon na sumabay siya na ang dami naming projects. There's a lot of conventions and conferences ng engineering organization in the third and fourth quarter. But ayun, very much less na yung burden kasi we got there's also a good feedback from the UST from our first try, and then there's a lot of feedbacks from the panel. So it was a very good exercise then.
Yeah, thank you, Eman. So I also love your grit, no, and your passion talaga to move this forward. As manifested by yung pag-apply mo for the second time. So thanks for that, for showing that motivation. And I hope other startups who have failed on their first try will also have the same passion. After all, I think yung bottom line naman is other than the grant, the program or the process is also a learning process for everyone. Hindi naman kami nag-approve na outright lang o approve ka, but we actually provide you with insights on how to improve the second time. So I'm happy that you finally passed, Eman, kasi yun naman yung ano natin, yun naman yung goal talaga natin, di ba? I'll throw the same question to another Eman kasi si Eman naman different yung case kasi before the startup grant, meron din siyang inatayan na other program with the DOST also. But siguro, Eman, can you also share lang your experience? Was this also easier for you since it's your second time applying for a DOST funding, or it was totally different?
Yung sa ngayon naman po, yung second try is slightly difficult din kasi more on technical aspect. We need to show the panel na from the previous application we improved just from the other one, but on the documentation side, on different requirements, medyo madali na siya kasi marami na din yung na-accomplish namin on the first try. So yun po.
Thank you, Sir Eman, for sharing that experience. And we're also happy that you finally got the funding. No, it was also a very long journey for you, starting way back, I think 2019, no, before the pandemic, when you applied for another funding program for the DOST. And I think the DOST Startup Grant Fund Program was the more perfect grant funding opportunity for you, considering that you are a startup company. And also, congratulations for finally getting the grant. Same question to Lindbergh. I think in your case, totally different then, kasi like I mentioned earlier, yours is a different product, not the usual systems. Were you having challenge in terms of defending your proposal kasi it's not the usual app or system, or it was more of an advantage for you because you think from among the sea of applications, yours was a totally different one.
The defense part of our proposal, it's actually I think for me personally, the most nerve-wracking part of the application because every detail is being checked by the technical panel, and they were experts in product formulation. So relative to my experience, they are ahead. So I think the motivation for us really to pursue this kasi it's also our second time applying for the
Right.
grant. Yeah, we tried 2020 but we were declined. So yun, I think for us yung experience talaga is easier this time because we had the parang checklist on where did we get the first application wrong. So yun, we had to make major adjustments, major tweaks on the documentation, the research, and on how we present this project to the technical panel. So yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the bottom line from all three of you is it's not about the failure, no, but how you stood up from that failure and learn from that failure, continue and pursue your dreams and aspirations. So thank you also to Lindbergh and Magway for applying for the second time, and I'm so also happy that you finally got the funding. To Renzo, I'm not sure if the question is applicable to you. I'm not sure if you're already part of the group when they were applying it. But kailan ka ba nag-start sa IOL? Were you already part of the startup company when they were applying for the grant? Did you also had a similar experience na or challenges for IOL while applying for the Startup Grant Fund program, or totally you were out of the picture pa?
Yes po, I was already a part of IOL po nung nag-a-apply na po sila ng for the
Funding?
DOST. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was a great experience, and yung mga times po na Sir Kevin was given, or our CEO was doing the job to present to DOST yung product namin, we were all thrilled and excited for the results if makukuha po kami sa grant. And from the moment na nakuha na po namin yung grant, we were so happy and nervous as well kasi it will be a big project and we have to deliver the system, the app. So yun po.
Thanks, Renzo, and happy to know that you're also part of that journey, no? And thanks also for sharing about your excitement and also yung kaba while waiting for the result. But all is well that ends well. So thanks, Renzo. Moving on to my next question, I think I'm going to ask. Siguro I'll start with. I'll go back to Lindbergh, no? Tourism was really badly hit, one of the badly hit sectors during the pandemic, and you were offering something that's related to tourism. Basically, reef safe sunscreen are for people who are using it while they were in Boracay or traveling. What were the challenges? Like, how were you before versus what you are now during this pandemic? Were there tweaks and pivots that you've done along the way just to deal with this pandemic?
For sure. Because the pandemic started March 2020. So it's almost summer. So I think the sunscreen inventory is being replenished or already replenished for the summer season. But yeah, the challenge for us is how to dispose of that inventory, and how do we pivot to another product. So what we did is we launched another product which is for everyday use, which is yung project that I mentioned in my intro, na shampoo bars, which is also another sustainable product. In as an alternative to the regular bottled or sachet shampoo. So there we had to expand the product line to address yung loss na dala nung pandemic. So right now we're also expanding pa into other products to to further parang recover from the loss na dala nung pandemic.
Yeah, thanks, Lindbergh. No, and it's good to know that you're able to quickly adapt to the changes in that the pandemic has brought to all the startup companies. Well, in your case, you had also, I think it was also very challenging for you. I can only imagine because, like I mentioned earlier, you were offering something that it's being used by a lot of people pre-pandemic, and it was also hard to imagine how are you going to adjust to the pandemic, but I'm glad that you did. Well, I guess part of that, or a big factor of that, is you being a lean startup company. It was so easy for you to adjust. You were so agile also. So um, I'm so happy with what you've shared, and I hope that will draw a lot of inspiration to all those people who are listening to us this afternoon. To Experto, to Eman, do you also consider the pandemic as some sort of a blessing in disguise for you? You think you're able to maximize or make the most out of this pandemic as something that works on your favor as a startup company?
Okay. Actually, we started Experto even before the pandemic. That is to really to digitize like the registrations, the issuance of digital certificates. But when the pandemic happened, we got our first paying customer during the pandemic because there's this organizations who don't have any secretariat and they don't have any means of they don't know how to conduct an event or a seminar via virtual because before the pandemic all events are physical in the engineering and the science community. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise because we were able to really propose solutions to really mitigate the effects of the pandemic in continuous learning for the professionals.
Thanks, Eman, and nice to know that you're also able to adapt quickly, no? So like you mentioned, you've been already offering that, but you just made some few tweaks and pivots into your system just to adapt to the new normal. My question to the other Eman is, how will this funding help you as a startup company? How will this impact you, the DOST funding that you are receiving? How will this help you as a startup company?
So it really helped us, especially on the research side, because it almost not just doubled; it's already tripled our capacity for the research. We are very confident that we can make a faster improvement in our machine, in our design, and also on other features. So we are very confident that later this year we can deploy our machine already for our partners and to um, demo it to other people that wants to have a reverse vendor machine for their companies.
Thanks, Eman. My question to Renzo, you being so young and being new into the startup scene, what advice can you give to fresh graduates like you? Do you encourage them to join a startup company, or do you encourage them to join bigger companies because it's more mainstream? Renzo?
Yeah, so for me, yung advice ko po sa mga fresh grad would be, if an opportunity comes to you, grab it. I mean, ang importante naman is that you learn from those experiences and you use that experiences to hone your skills more and to be able to contribute more for your organization. And yun po.
Thanks, Renzo. Short but sweet answer, no? My last question na lang to the three gentlemen, Lindbergh and the two Emmans. Siguro one final tip or tips or advice to startups who are planning to apply for the grant. Any lessons that you've learned that you can impart to these upcoming startups? Siguro I'll begin na lang with in alphabetical order ulit. So, Sir Eman Bubis.
So yung tip ko for other startup, just try to apply, then mababait si DOST PHSW, also yung mga staff nila, so for accommodating, they will really help you for the application, especially yung mga requirements natin. They are very lagi silang nagre-reply for all the inquiries.
Thank you, Sir Eman. Another Eman, Sir Eman Kagimbal. Final words.
Siguro for tips talaga, talk to your customers kasi we have a lot of assumptions, and then parang doon lang siya naging nalinawan when we talk to our customers, when we talk to the professionals, to the organizations. And also talk to the founders of other startups kasi baka they already experience it already. So you can learn from their mistakes, you can learn from their experiences para hindi mo na ulitin. Ayun. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Eman. How about you, Lindbergh?
For us, it's learning from our past mistakes in the first application. So we were not discouraged to reapply for another grant. And also, based on our experience, it's good to have a competent team who would do the work, because it's not just me. I am just the project leader here. So the work of everyone is vital in us getting this grant. So yeah.
So thank you, Sir Lindbergh. So my key takeaway from all those sharing is una-una, sabi nga ni Sir Emma, know your customers. Also ask the other founders. Hindi naman yun kabawasan if you ask other people. Validate your product. The more you validate it, the more you're sure that you're doing the right thing. Sabi naman ni Sir Eman, don't be scared. DOST people are very accommodating and helpful. According to Sir Lindbergh naman, learn from your failures. And it's also very crucial that you have a very competent team. And siguro from the sharing of Renzo also, sabi niya na while it's good to apply for bigger companies, it's also good to try a startup company and learn from the experience of startups or been there, done that. And with that, I think that ends our question and answer segment. And I'd like to thank you once again. Hopefully this won't be the last that we will be seeing you and be hearing from you. We're excited to hear your progress and your success maybe a year after. And final request lang siguro is if we can take a quick photo opportunity before we proceed to our next segment. All right, so I'll on my cue. So 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, so thank you to the two Emans and Lindbergh and Renzo, and congratulations once again. All right, so we're done with our first segment. We're now ready to proceed to our next segment. So I'd like you to stay. We still have something for you, and this is also very exciting. So now let's witness the start of a new partnership between the DOST, PCIEERD, and the Startup Village for the initiative called Project Match. With the intention of reinvigorating the Philippine economy, Project Match is a marketplace and resource platform that helps in the digitization of MSMEs by linking them to startups to provide the much-needed digital solutions and technology. First, to give us an overview of what the Project Match is all about and how it can help startups and MSMEs, I would like to call the director of the Startup Village, Mr. Carlo Calimon. Let's give him a virtual round of applause. Hi, Sir Carlo.
Hello, Edward. Can you hear me? Am I coming in clear?
Yes. Why won't you say hi first to all our startup presenters earlier? I think this is some sort of a reunion for you and them because we were part of their journey.
Yes. So before anything else, I'd like to say good afternoon to all the startups who are present here today, especially those who I met right, during your TP presentations. Now, it's a funny thing, coincidentally, dati kayo yung nagpe-present, ngayon naman it's my turn to present, right? So before anything else, I'd like to say good afternoon to our friends from DOST PCIEERD, especially Director Paringit, Ms. Russell Pili, of course, Mr. Edward Apigo, and the DOST PCIEERD team, all the TBIs that are watching and part of this session, startups who are part of the program, who are grantees especially, and our friends who are watching here today. Good day. Today, I'm eager to share with you this endeavor, which we have developed over the past year. This endeavor, which is, I believe, something that can truly revolutionize and help you grow your respective businesses. Project Match is a reflection of Startup Village's desire to help and elevate not only startups but also MSMEs, especially in this world we live in today. This project is a manifestation of our experience supporting aspiring and existing entrepreneurs over the past years. Next slide. Project Match is designed for MSMEs like one who have struggled in sustaining their respective businesses due to increased competition as well as the changing world we live in today. Next slide. One is like millions of MSMEs who have struggled and or who have closed during these times. Similarly, next slide, we have startups like Lisa, similar as you, like some of you. You are a startup founder who has a game-changing product but has had issues or has struggled uh, to effectively go to market and linking with your potential customers. Next slide. We want Juan and Lisa to get matched. Similar to Gina, also an entrepreneur who at one point encountered the same challenges as Juan, but has bounced back because she discovered startups that use digital tools or offer digital solutions such as shown on screen, and many more who could help digitize her respective business and pave the way for growth and sustainability in today's world. Next slide. These companies grew together because they were matched with each other. Next slide. That is what Project Match is. Project Match is a marketplace and resource platform that links MSMEs and startups together. Think of it as your usual e-commerce site, but rather than finding your usual gadgets, apparel, appliances, and clothes and the like, what you will actually find are startups. And this is actually for you, my dear startups who were part of the TP previously conducted, right? This is for you. Why? Because in this platform, you are the merchants. You are the ones selling your products and services to potential customers, essentially the MSMEs. So in this case, kayo ang bida, right? And ang mamimili natin ay yung mga MSMEs. Next slide. This initiative is developed and implemented by Startup Village with grant support from USAID, with the objective of leveling up MSMEs and startups by building their capacities and linking them to the needed resources, also especially access to finance. Next slide. The objective of the program is to link MSMEs and startups together. Here, MSMEs can discover innovative startups such as yourselves that can be helpful for their respective businesses. Ang objective nito is to help you guys connect to your potential customers. Next slide. In order to do so, all you have to do is visit projectmatch.ph. And here, next slide, you can be discovered along with other impactful startups that can truly contribute towards elevating and helping our MSMEs become more sustainable and also to allow them to adapt to the changing world. Next slide. There is also a learning resource portal that is attached to the portal where webinars, panel discussions, and the like will be conducted live with our partners. These sessions will also be available as recordings in our Knowledge Hub, which includes cases and other relevant videos as well. So to our friends, startups here, we can also feature you so that you can also share your respective insights, cases, and experiences for the benefit of our MSMEs. And this can be valuable for you. Why? Because this can also serve as a soft sell or a marketing initiative for your organization. In addition to that, we will also be linking you to mentors, not just local mentors, but also regional and global mentors, especially since, as some of you may know, I am part of the Google network of mentors. And at the same time, Startup Village has linkages also to mentors from Silicon Valley. And take note, participating in this program is for free. All right. In addition, next slide. Both MSMEs and startups will have access to financial organizations who can provide them with the needed resources to scale and grow their respective businesses. This includes banks, microfinance, angel investors, VCs, crowdfunding platforms, and others, right, that can fund your respective businesses. Also, because of our partnership that we will forge today with DOST PHSW21, you will also have access to the different grants that DOST provides and offers. Next slide. Through Project Match, we are able to elevate and prepare both MSMEs and especially startups for the new world we live in today, while also providing them with the needed capacity and capability tools and resources needed not only to survive but thrive in this new world. Next slide. Using Project Match is easy, right? Simply log in to www.projectmatch.ph, and the succeeding videos can also help explain and show you what we have in store for you. But before that, I would just want to emphasize Startup Village's excitement to partner with DOST PHSW21, allowing us to share this wonderful program to its different stakeholders. Before I end, I'd like to thank again our friends from DOST PHSW21, our friends from USAID, the Deliver Project team of USAID, our friends and partners from government, Startup Village team, startup enablers, MSME organizations, financial organizations, and you, future members of this platform, for believing that this initiative can truly change the game and elevate both MSMEs and startups at the same time. Coming together truly shows that it does take a village to raise not just a startup, but also MSMEs. Thank you, and we're eager to forge this partnership with DOST PHSW21. So once again, thank you very much and match now. Thank you.
Nagnenegosyo ka ba? Feeling mo ba na pag-iwanan ka na ng kompetisyon? Feeling mo ba kumukonti na ang iyong customer? Hindi ka ba techie? Kailangan mo na mag-level up at mag-digitalize. Paano? Introducing Project Match, ang platform kung saan ang mga negosyo na tulad mo ay makakahanap ng mga innovative startups na makakatulong sa iyong negosyo. Dagdag pa dyan, ang Project Match ay magbibigay ng kaalaman at kakayahan, gabay at patnubay, access sa pondo at puhunan. Nais ng Project Match ay maging susi ng pagbabago sa pag-unlad tungo sa pagbalik ng sigla ng ekonomiya ng bansa sa pamamagitan ng pagtulong sa mga MSMEs na makikita sa pag-angat at paglago ng iyong mga negosyo. Sa pamamagitan ng Project Match, kayo at ang milyong MSMEs ay magkakaroon ng pagkakataon na magtagumpay sa makabagong mundo. Sali na! Match now!
All right. Thank you very much, Sir Carlo, for giving us an overview about the project match. Now, to give his message of support and commitment, I would like to call on the DOST Shared Executive Director, Dr. Enrico C. Paringet. Let's give Dr. Paringet a virtual round of applause. Hi, Sir Eric. Nakakonect pa. Still connecting. Di ata kayo naka-ano, sir? Naka-on ang camera at video. There. Video na lang. Sir Eric, you can go ahead. Can you try speaking, Sir Eric?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Mic test. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, maybe I was already introduced by Edward, sorry. I didn't hear him introducing me. But of course, well, I was looking at the time log that we have, and we've been here for something like 3 hours. So I know it's been a long afternoon for everyone, so we'll just try to make it a little bit short. But before that, before I move on to my message, I just like to, of course, greet everyone. I'd like to congratulate all of the startups that were presented earlier. I learned a few things from the conversations that they have had during the Q&A sessions, and I'm of course, on behalf of PCIEERD, we're just so, of course, very glad also for for their interest, for their trust, no? Yung tiwala niyo po sa amin sa PCIEERD, pagyayamanin din namin, no? Kasi we value all the when you send to us your proposals, that means that you are entrusting to us your life, no, as a startup, essentially. And we look forward also, of course, to the many and long successes of the startups that we have supported this afternoon. Let me now move to my message, no, on this partnership on Project Match with the Startup Village. Of course, to our partners from the Startup Village, headed by Director Mr. Carlo Calimon, whom we have heard earlier, and its operations lead, Ms. Stephanie D. Tiapco. Of course, Deputy Director of our Deputy Executive Director of PCIEERD is here with us, who will, I think, be closing this event, Engineer Nina Lisa Escorial, the Chief of the Research Information and Technology Transfer Division, Ms. Russell Pili, and her very indefatigable team, no? So it's been really a grueling week for this startup week. Of course, the work did not really start this week, no? But actually, it was a long way back, no? So I'd really like to also salute our staff at PCIEERD who made this happen, no? Edward, Jejomar, no? All of the names that you have heard earlier, the ones who were, working behind the scenes, no? Making sure that our applicants for the startup programs are being addressed. And of course, to everyone still watching, no? Sabi ko nga, 3 oras na tayo rito, hindi ko na patatagalin. On behalf of the of PCIEERD, of the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, of DOST, we would like to convey our congratulations to Startup Village, and of course the USA through its Deliver project for the successful launch of Project Match last Monday. When we first learned about Project Match, we actually saw the opportunity for our startups in the TBIs and the startups that were recently approved under the Startup Grant Fund program, the one that you've seen today, no, this afternoon, to take advantage of the platform to promote their products and services and help the digitization of the SMEs, no, the MSMEs. Kasi parang sila yung wala pang access sa ating digital and online community. And I think they need this kind of intervention to make sure that they have the chance to make it, no, in this ever revolving world of commerce, no, and business. We are happy and committed to promote and to encourage the participation of our startup grantees, the TBI incubatees, no? Kung bibilang nyo pa yung mga TBI, yung mga incubatees sa TBIs natin, I think they run to something like 600, 700, no? And our network of SMEs in the Match platform. This partnership with the Startup Village is a manifestation, no, of our strong support to startups and MSMEs. As we recognize that there's a need to onboard the private sector and other stakeholders to leverage each other's programs and initiatives, no? This is all for providing a stronger impact to the startups and the innovation community. As we continue our efforts in providing relevant programs for our startups and MSMEs, we are glad that the Match platform will also be an avenue to feature the Council's grants and programs through its Access to Finance portal. This will be a great platform to raise awareness of the opportunities that startups and MSMEs can benefit from PHSW21 and DOST as a whole. No? There are a lot of other grant mechanisms, no? And then of course they have their specific target audiences, no? Or crowds, no? And of course the startup grant program. We also launched our WHYs program yesterday. We also have supports for the TBIs, and then of course for our regular R&D support, no, given to institutions. As we signed the formal partnership agreement with the Startup Village, the DOST PHSW is optimistic that this will result in the successful matches and more SMEs adapting to the new normal through massive digitalization and getting more clients and generating more venues. No? Perhaps our SMEs will take delight, no, knowing that most of the market right now is already in the digital field or in the digital platform. So we really expect this project match to give them that kind of platform to quickly connect with their customers, with their business partners, and with their clients, no, and thereby translating to a lot more revenue than what they're in right now. Again, thank you very much to Startup Village for this partnership, and we look forward to the success of Project Match. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you, Sir ECP, for that message of support. I would like to request you to kindly stay on the virtual floor. And as I would like to call again to join you, Mr. Carlo Calimon, for the ceremonial signing of the MOU. So can we sign now, sir? The MOU, and maybe you can show it as proof of this partnership. So maybe can you... Yan. All right. So, Sir Eric, maybe can you show... Nagsasign pa si Sir Eric. All right. So, can we... All right. So, congratulations, Startup Village. I would like to invite to the virtual stage Ma'am Russell Tilly, Engineer Escorial, our Deputy Executive Director, and Ms. Stephanie C. for Stephanie T. pala. D. Tapkiapko of Startup Village for the photo opportunity. So, all right. So, on my cue, 1, 2, 3, smile. All right. So, thank you very much. Before I'll call Ma'am Nins for the closing, maybe we can hear some few words also to Ma'am Russell. Ma'am Russell has been listening the entire time, but we never heard her speaking this afternoon. Ma'am Russell, some few words to our startups and to probably to this project match.
Thank you, Edward. Yeah, congratulations, Carlo. No, we're really looking forward to this project with you, and we believe that this project match will really help both our SMEs and our startups. And yeah, we're looking forward to working on this project next year. So madami tayong gagawin. And for the startups, so I was in the background, but I was listening to all the pitches. And same with Director Paringit, I'm really happy to see this year's startup grantees. The first batch, no, since we had the Innovative Startup Act, having seen all of them defend their projects to be sure. I mean, congratulations. Actually, it isn't enough. So I would like to thank all of them for their ideas, their innovations, and their grit. Sabi nga ni Edward, their grit and their passion to pursue their projects and never really giving up. Some of them have tried, the second time, and I'm sure that the other startups who didn't make it in the list, if you allow us to help you more, and then hopefully in the future you will be one of them. So thank you, startups, and I hope that you were able to imbibe what we from the council and all the technical panel members we have always grilled you with, and that that your ideas will be able to contribute to the progress of our country, and make sure that your innovations will be able to help a lot of people. Yun naman talaga ang purpose. And make lives easier, help our people deal with all the challenges post-pandemic. That is really the reason why government is investing so much on you. So because your ideas and your agility make you our frontliners for innovation. So thank you to all the startup grantees, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you, Edward.
Russell. And sorry for the spontaneous message. No, sorry for putting you on the spot, but I think I just really wanted to hear also from you, since you're also part of the journey of the startup grantees. So with that, we have now arrived to the last part of today's event. To wrap up SIBOL featuring the Startup Grant Fund Program Edition, I would like to call our Deputy Executive Director, who has been listening the entire time. Thank you so much, Ma'am Nins. We really appreciate your support. Let's give the virtual clap and the virtual floor to Engineer Niña Lisa H. Escorial for his closing remarks. Ma'am Nins.
Dr. Enrico C. Paringit, Executive Director of DOST PCIEERD, colleagues from the DOST offices and other national government agencies and local government units, members of the academe, representatives from the private sector, our dear startup founders, and to all our attendees in today's webinar, a pleasant afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy and Emerging Technology, Research and Development, we would like to thank you for joining us in today's SIBOL. As we are conducting the Philippine Startup Week, we are very glad hearing all the presentations of our guests who gave us very promising startup projects. Your presentations today are bright lights in this pandemic we are reeling in, and we hope that the inspiration you give today will encourage our fellow Filipinos to innovate in responding to the call of the times. We also thank our partner from Startup Village on the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with them. We look forward to the fruits of the partnership we will have and how our startups can maximize the benefits it can get from this collaboration. Today's event is a testament to the resilience of the Filipino spirit that despite and in spite of the pandemic, we can soldier on and develop new ways to adapt to our ever-changing environment. Our startups have shown their agility in catering to the needs of the people, and it is now our turn to support them with the services and products they can offer. We invite everyone to stay tuned for more developments from DOST PCIEERD as we unleash innovations and solutions in the coming days. Maraming salamat at ingat tayong lahat.
Maraming salamat, Ma'am Nins. As we end, my key takeaway from this webinar is that with research, innovation, and collaboration, we can empower Filipino startups to aid in building a stronger nation. Again, reminding everyone to answer our feedback form online in exchange for a certificate of attendance. Please check the link in the chat box or scan the code on your screen. The next SIBOL event will be on November 23 at 9 a.m., which will feature projects under the mining sector. Follow our social media pages to keep updated on the screen to know the schedule of upcoming events. Finally, before we end, we had our icebreaker earlier, so it's now time to announce our winners. So congratulations to Amber Kubakub, Reina Elaida, Joel Abigail Aguas, and Ija Galsote, our winners for our icebreaker challenge. Those names on the screen, please send us a message to our official Facebook page at DOST for details about how to claim your prizes. Thank you everyone for joining us today. This has been Edward, leaving you with the idea that enabling innovations is the key to faster recovery and progress towards better normal. Kita-kits sa susunod nating pagsibol and learn about budding innovations that are leveraged by the DOST to sprout growth in the country. Thank you and stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.